Welcome to Soapbox. We're here with J. David Osborne, author and literary mystic.
Hey guys, hey, yeah. So I was saying, like, this is the first time that I've actually talked to other people about my ideas. I usually just do it and then send it out into the world, and then I'm shocked and amazed that nobody is reading it. Um, so I was like, hey, let's let's focus group this a little bit. So I work in a very blue collar type business, and so I was like, I'm gonna start like telling these guys like what my book is about. And I have one idea that I'm writing with Kelby right now. It's called Budget Hitman, and it's about a guy who lives in a trailer park who basically does very, very low level hits over petty trailer park grievances.
Uh-huh.
And then he accidentally, when he's out on one of his hits, he accidentally, in like a total pratfall, slipping on a banana peel type way, accidentally kills the greatest assassin of all time. And so people think that he's like John Wick, but he's
A doofus.
he's a doofus. He's literally based off of a guy who I used to work with who would just blow up his life every 2 months or so. Very good with his hands, nice guy, friendly guy, but he would call, he'd be like, "Man, I'm not gonna be able to make the job. Like my the wheels fell off of my truck and I'm at the casino." That type of dude. And so basically, from that point on, the Guild of Assassins starts sending guys after him, and this is where it gets fun because I wanted it to kind of morph into a kind of a Killer 7 type vibe after that. Like I don't know if you guys have played
Nice.
Killer 7.
Yep.
Joe, you know your shit, man. I know you know your shit.
Hell yes.
Um, and so basically you have this doofus who is but still has this kind of down home trailer park logic to things, and he's so dumb that it's defying their expectations. And he keeps man like the first set of assassins that go after him, they're like, don't even bother with the trailer park, there's no way he's going back there after this, and he walks into his door. And so it's that kind of shit. It's the dumbest guy constantly winning. So anyway, so I tell that to my coworkers and they love that idea. They're like,
Mm.
this is fantastic. I'm like, all right, let me hit you with this one then. Let me holler at you for a second. So I say it's seven samurai. These Ronin rescue a village from an evil demon lord. And they're like, hell yeah, hell yeah. And I'm like, and the main characters are like from King of the Hill. And it was just like crickets. That's, they're
Maybe it
like,
was just processing time.
oh no, they hated it. Once
Okay.
they once they once they actually understood it, they're like, yeah, that makes no sense. So I don't know. Graham Greene used to do his entertainments and then his serious novels, and
Yep.
yeah, maybe my serious. None of my novels are ever going to be serious, but maybe the serious ones are the ones that I think people will actually like, and then the entertainments are just me having fun, which
Mm.
people do tend to like. It's just really hard to. It's impossible to market these things, right?
Yeah, well that there's fuck, where did I I'm trying to remember what book this was in, but they talked about it might be one of those Malcolm Gladwell books. I don't fucking remember, but
Right.
there was there's that famous office chair, the Aeon chair or whatever,
Let me
that
look it
was
up.
like that was I think it was the Aeon chair that was in like every fucking .com startup. These are like $2,000 chairs, and they would have like 500 of them because they'd spend half of the VC money on these fucking chairs. But when that thing was, and it became like this defining, iconic thing that like I think all gamer chairs are kind of based on it more or less.
Yeah.
But when they first designed it, everybody fucking hated it. Like the initial
Interesting.
reactions were like, "This sucks." And so the thing about like actual, like art that's cutting edge, and this
Hmm.
is the danger with it, is often disliked initially
Yep. Yep.
because
Yes.
it because
Definitely.
it's too far outside of the curb. So outside of the curve, so they that like people like familiarity, so they want to reference it to what they already know. So when
Hmm.
something's completely outside of that, they can't rely on like uh the greater social acceptance of something. They can't like go with the herd. They have to actually have an their own opinion about it. And often that's scary. That's scary for people. So they're like, I don't like it because it's
Mhm.
this unfamiliar thing. And and that's where you find like the best stuff, but it's also where you find the biggest fucking failures
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
like that's what it is living on the edge is just like
That's the Venn diagram that I live in.
yeah.
Total failure and originality.
Yeah.
I read a lot of self-help books for like how to write novels. I think it's important to always keep beginner mind and to understand the brain of the normie because I want to get to a point like with my X-Files books that I'm writing. I really want those to be palatable to normal people
Mhm.
because it's almost like wanting to do a magic trick for a wider audience. I want to kind of blow their minds, but I don't want to scare them at first.
Mhm.
And all these books say the same thing, which is kind of depressing, which is don't innovate at all. Like they're like, if you're gonna innovate, they literally say it's not even 80/20. They say like 95/5. Like have
Yeah.
that 5% that's weird
Yeah.
in there because people's attention is so precious. And if the like I read a lot of bestsellers too. Like I read the new Dan Brown book.
Same.
I, yeah, did you like it?
Thought it was all right. I thought it
It
was
was
decent.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? I mean,
Aye, not bad.
I don't know if he needed to write that book for 8 years, but
Yep.
you know, so I'll read stuff like that, and I've really begun to understand the kind of here's how it works, right? Like, so I'm a sentence level writer, and I always want to make sure that every sentence is beautiful. But it's just like something clicked in my brain reading, you know, Preston and Child and Dan Brown and Lee Child. They do it in blocks, right? And so it's like blocks of cognition. And so
Mhm.
an entire paragraph only requires like one line of mental code to kind of understand what happened.
Mm.
And when you're a sentence level writer, every sentence is a new line of code that you're putting in there. You're constantly having to reorient yourself and picture something. And it's not fluff that these pulp writers have. It's just chunk. I don't,
Mhm.
does that make sense? I don't know if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, no, mhm. It's not as in service to the medium as it is to the story it's delivering.
Mm.
Aye, the words are a like a vehicle. The words are like a delivery vehicle for the narrative rather than
Yes.
exactly what versus what David was saying. Well, you want the words sort of to sit. Obviously, you want people to feel engaged by the narrative and stuff and want to continue reading, but you also want the sentences to just kind of sing on their own for their own sake. You know what I mean? Whereas Dan Brown, I don't think has ever. He doesn't strike me as a big rewriter. I think he's probably a Philip K. Dick kind of guy,
Mhm.
where he just like farts them out, like in a good way though. It works for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it absolutely works for him. His episode with Rick Rubin on the Tetragrammaton podcast is really good. All these guys, by the way, seem like nice dudes. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like Brandon Sanderson and even James Patterson, all these wildly rich and successful authors, they
Yep.
also just seem nice. Which chicken or egg, right? Would they be that nice if they weren't billionaires? Who knows? But they do have this almost surfer bro mentality where I really like the service-based idea of art where, I am making things for other people. When I was a younger man, I was much less concerned with that because I was like, this is my fucking art. I'm gonna be like Fernando Pessoa or something or Roberto Bolaño or one of these cats, right? And it's like, no, I don't want it like Roberto Bolaño died and then his work took off and
Mm.
all
Yeah,
these
fuck that.
dudes
Yep. Yep. Yep.
like all these dudes died and then their
Yeah.
work took off. And so it was
Yeah.
almost like having to, make sure that the 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 autistic guy like learning how to function in society, right? Which on like a social level I've never had a problem with,
Mm.
but art like for whatever reason, I don't know why this is, but with art I've always been not autistic's the wrong word and it's overused, but I've been closed off in particular. Like that's my world, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
bring you into it. Like, like I think about that from the other point of view. Like if somebody told me like, "Hey, this is my artistic world. It's get a peek into my twisted mind," I'd I'd be like, "No, I'm good. Like, why? Why would I want to do that?"
Do you think that that has
So,
something to do with like on a personal level, does this correlate with any kind of like desire for control or fear of losing control or like it's interesting to me because it almost seems like with personal development, this would be like a naturally occurring thing that you're realizing. It's like, oh, I
Mhm.
actually don't want to force you to be in my world. I kind of want to like meet you halfway and have like like you're saying, a more service oriented sort of thing.
hmm Oh, so you're saying that like it's something that would be normal if you were thinking about it with interactions from human beings, but for art, that feels weird for some. Is that what you mean?
No, no, I kind of mean like is that something that you feel like correlates to like personal issues? And like
Uh,
did your approach to this topic in general like change as you grew as a person? Like I'm just curious because it seems
oh,
like letting go of the feeling like you need to control certain things in life might open up the creative.
dude, I love that. I haven't thought of that, but now that you mention it, that's totally true because I did really only become a functioning adult who can take care of his family in the past few years.
Yeah.
So, having a child probably was the biggest thing that happened with that. Um, because yeah, I mean, before then, it's really weird once you have kids, and you look at people who don't have kids, you don't look on them with like disdain or whatever, but you do notice that they have this ability to be interior in a way that you can't be anymore,
Mhm.
and focused on the self in ways that you can't be anymore. And I do think I do think it's a younger person thing, right? When I go on Substack and it's a lot of younger writers on that website, and I see them wrestling kind of with the same questions that I would have wrestled with when I was in my 20s, right? Like, what does it mean to be a great writer? What does it mean to change the medium that you're working in to leave a mark or something, right? And then you get to the point where you've either died or almost died so many times that you're like, yeah, no, man, I'm just a dude who's here,
Yeah.
right? Life slaps that out of you. It's because we don't have initiation rituals, right? Like, and we
Yep.
should. We
Yep.
we we need bullet ants to come back in a big way, like, and 'cause it does something, right? They have the bullet ants because, women give birth and that's their huge life-changing experience. The pain is unimaginable, etc. But boys don't have that unless you force it on them. So
Mm.
you end up being a boy well into your 30s, and yeah, and then once you suddenly become an adult and you do start to change, yeah, you do kind of realize like, hey, I'm a tool that can be in service of humanity.
Mhm.
Maybe that's the best way of putting it, because Brian, what you're saying is like that personal change that you're talking about, that letting go of the control of things. The control is in service of building building an image of yourself because you have no self-image.
Mhm.
And so once you let go of that control, it's really bizarre because you realize that self-image is totally external,
Mhm.
Like it's actually not inside.
And then you
But
kind
I
of
don't.
open yourself up to like, oh, the world already has plans for what I'm going to be, and it's already kind of molding me, rather than
Mm-hmm.
your own kind of maybe contrived idea of what you'd like to see yourself become.
Exactly. And I think if you the book just came out, so I wouldn't expect that you guys have read it, but I'm a huge fan. So Martin Shaw's new book, Liturgies
Oh,
of the Wild.
incredible.
You read
Great
it, Joe?
book. I'm a
Oh,
huge Martin Shaw fan.
Oh, dude, you're on it, right? But he talks about this in the book, right? I think it's in either like in on passivity or on it's one of those chapters, right? But he talks about how you start to realize that your inner self is actually more like it's all external, which is kind
Mhm.
of part of his bigger project that he's doing with, feral. He doesn't use the word feral, like the wild Christ, the mossy face of Christ. Are you, Brian
Mhm.
and Kurt, are you familiar with Martin Shaw at all?
No, but this
Yeah,
sounds cool.
I am. I am. Uh I've mostly heard interviews with him, and I you talk about sentences. I love the way that guy writes.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Yep.
he had a book. I never did finish it though. That was like
Is it Bard Skull?
it was no, it's one of his earlier ones that was like it was about the Percival myth, and it
Oh,
had like
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
it had this crazy beautiful subtitle that was like the black wet branch of language or something.
Oh, that was it. That was, I think you said it exactly there. Yep,
Okay.
the wet black branch of language or whatever.
Just something like that. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was just like he's very like vivid in his prose and
Mm.
like
yeah, yeah,
yeah. And
yeah. Which
it's
comes
like
from years of oral
oral
storytelling.
storytelling,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always like uh I I write well as well, but um I'm not out in the world yet, but like I'm always like I wish I could write like Tom Waits writes songs. That's what
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of what Martin Shaw feels like a bit.
Aye.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's this like you can each little sentence has like a there's like a bigger narrative compacted into it
Mm.
or something.
Hmm.
Just as a weird kind of synchronicity, I actually have a ton of Martin Shaw quotes sort of lined up that I was going to sort of see if I could massage into this episode. Would you be all right if I kind of dobbed one in here?
The
Let's
autistic
go.
documents win again.
No, exactly, exactly. You knew it was coming. Right, so this is, I thought this was just insane, right? I won't, this is huge. I won't say the entire thing, but blue feathered language, right? Blue
Mm.
feathered language. We are in initiatory times, but we lack initiated language. We have some very smart people out there who operate within the mode of words as either persuasion or argument. Even folk that go on and on about myth are rarely using the antique technologies that truly honor myth. Myths need coaxing. We live in magpie times, black or white, right or left, but magpies actually have blue feathers if you pay close enough attention. Myths speak blue feathered language. They can be co opted, but they're meant to offer some third artful perspective when culture is butting heads, right? And then he goes on and on and on about ancient Ireland and stuff, and it's great. But I just that idea that and it goes back to one of these other themes that he hits on in a bunch of different books about imagery versus etymology,
Hmm.
Mm.
and how you should always go for an image over a concept.
Hmm.
And let me see, in fact, hold on. I've literally got it here, right? Focus on images, not etymology. The soul is fed by images. Everyone I know has fallen in love with etymology. You can look awfully smart in a room if you lob the root system of a word around. I totally get it, it's great, but you're not courting the reader's soul anymore. You're showboating. You're cooking with the wrong ingredients. You should always go for an image over a concept, right? So he's even though he has this tremendous facility for like gilded, silvered, bejeweled language, I love this idea that it's the image that he's gone back to,
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than just like autistic linguistics
Yeah.
to make a horrible
Yeah.
rhyme.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Autistic linguistics is tight.
Like be a painter rather than a chatbot.
uh,
Yes.
Exactly.
have you guys ever tried to read like academic philosophical writings?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I went through my phase of that. Yeah.
I had a friend in Brooklyn who was like he had a doctorate in philosophy and like he would I it was always great talking to him, but he was like he brought up something that was like someone had wrote something about Neon Genesis Evangelion, I think,
Mhm.
and
Right.
he was like, yeah, it's this academic out of blah blah blah, and he was like, it's a really interesting concept. I was like, all right, share it with me, dude. It was like fucking impenetrable. Like
Hmm.
the way they write is it's like diagrammatic or something. And
Mm.
I think that's exactly what
Yep.
Martin Shaw's talking about is that it's yeah, it's like a circuit diagram. It's
Yeah,
like you're
it's not
laying out
artistic.
it's yeah,
It's
there's no it doesn't
systems. It's like
Aye.
systems
doesn't
logic.
think yeah, it's like this is a device to deliver concept
Yep. Yep.
versus like any sort of poetry or life
Aye.
in what they're writing. And and I knew for a fact that this is all this guy read, and I was like, how do you do this?
I don't know. Here's my contention is that nobody who actually reads that stuff likes it. I
Mm.
think that
Hmm.
I think it's a kind of self-flagellation thing. I think that they think that they're doing something. But what Martin's talking about with that, with the blue feathered language, I also love the image of the magpie because you think of like what the magpie does, like steals and
Hmm.
like puts together like this crazy nest. But that if you look at it close enough, like you'll actually see the blue bits. So with the image versus this kind of autistic linguistics, what Shaw realizes from probably from years and years and years of talking is that words are just images anyway. It doesn't matter if
Mm.
you are, but so how do you calibrate that? And if you're doing this kind of philosophy paper stacking, you're still stacking images on top of each other,
Hmm.
but the images aren't flowing together. So you're almost like stacking these little uh horrific like eyeballs and tentacles and things like in the so you're not like building a house, you're just building this conceptual thing. And that goes back to the fact that when a concept leaves my mouth and goes into your ears, it's going to be different from how I intend it no matter
Yeah.
what,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And so this kind of really focused, granular, I am going to spend pages and pages and pages using the most exact words I can so that you
Yeah.
get exactly what I mean is foolish because it doesn't matter anyway. And so, but what it does in the process of that, it's double foolish. What it does in the process of that is that it kills the language necessary for myth, right?
Yeah.
Where the
Hmm.
images are these containers that are full of meaning depending on how you want to think about it. That's why koans are the best. That's why his
Hmm.
writing is so good. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, he's the person who has most balanced what I'm talking about, right? With being of service and writing clearly, but
Mm.
also writing beautifully at the same time. Like
Mm.
he has a chapter in Liturgies of the Wild about death, and he
Hmm.
spent a lot of time with people in hospice. And in a few paragraphs, talking about, you know, talking with this boy who was going to die at 12 years old. Like I'm in the car, I'm listening to it on audiobook. I'm in the car, like on the way to an appointment, and I have to compose myself before I go inside
Hmm.
Yeah.
because I wasn't ready for it.
Hmm.
We're just kind of
Yeah.
moving along. There's no big setup to it. We don't have to spend 15 minutes learning everything about this boy. He just knows which blue feather language to use when you're totally in his under his control when he's
Yeah, yep,
writing,
Mm.
yep.
right? You're going where he wants you to go no matter what. And I'm very happy to see this book is now a New York Times bestseller
Hmm.
Mm.
because between that and the Paul Kingsnorth book Against the Machine,
Yep.
which I think they're buddies, right?
Yeah,
Like
They are. Yeah.
they've got a bunch of talks together and stuff. Yep.
yeah, so those two guys, man, are really cracking open my head and hopefully a lot of other people's heads in a lot of interesting ways. Like what they do with Christianity is similar, I think, to what Brian's project is too with Christian animism, which is just kind of rewilding that space, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so Shaw became orthodox because of a vision that he had. He writes about it very compellingly as something that he was not called like well that he didn't want to do intellectually, but that he kept being called to.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, and he just the way he writes about the church, right? It's always, mossy doors and
Hmm.
he wants, birds nesting in the rafters and deer wandering through and and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. Like this is something that I could get behind. And his chapters where he's kind of contrasting the Orthodox Church as it is versus his kind of conception of it, like the church that he lives in his mind, versus the kind of church that I know I went to all throughout my youth, which was,
Mm.
Baptist, which is pretty, and what's really interesting is we were talking about that, the different types of languages. When you go to these Baptist churches as a kid, they're like philosophy papers. The sermons are, right? They're
Mm.
not as articulate even as those, and the language isn't as fancy, but they are like if we turn to Luke 3, chapter 3, verse 25, we'll see that Jesus, when he walked across the road, he said, "Follow me." Now let's look at those words. Follow me. And it's
Under
just
your
like okay.
under your pews, you'll find some scissors. Just cut your nuts right off. Just
Just
remove them.
we'll have Sherry's gonna come around with the soldering iron, and she'll make sure that you're all clipped up. Don't even worry about it.
That's it's interesting to me. I'm getting this image in my head as you're talking about this of like going back to the image thing. The way an image hits you is pre-verbal,
Mm,
right? Like it hits you and it's direct impact. Because you're just kind of sitting there with it, letting it affect you. Now, like if an image hits you and you're like reaching to the side to look for some kind of like scientific basis for something, like then you aren't holding space for the image to hit you.
mm,
So like if someone isn't allowing themselves to be that affected by images in the first place, or have that visceral reaction of like this just is making me feel the way that it is just because of what it is. There's no like secondary process or anything. It's very direct. But like if you're trying to write and you're constantly reaching for those sort of scientific like traveling it, following things through time and what else they're connected to, it's far too like garbled and intellectual, and it's literally like to the side of what's actually happening. And so yeah, I
yeah.
see exactly what you mean. I struggle with that a lot. Like as so basically for 4 years or so, all I did as far as writing was like ritual instructions and
Hmm.
like talking about
Hmm.
metaphysics and shit,
Hmm.
which is it isn't creative at all. Like the stuff that I do might be creative, but then explaining it is fucking not.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so like trying to go from that back into like this visceral like image thing, it's tricky if you get stuck in like one more than the other, I guess.
But you definitely came out of it. Like when your Substacks drop, like everything else drops. You know what I'm saying? Like those are my must reads
Hmm.
because I
Oh,
think
damn.
that you did. I know what you mean too, because I we've known each other for quite some time, so I understand what you're talking about. But I do think that what you're saying about, the images being allowed to, the bell curve meme, right? Where it's like a sage on one side and like
Yeah, yeah.
a dude where it's like his brain
It's,
has hung itself
yeah.
over.
It's like a caved in pinhead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, and they say the same things.
Mm.
It's really interesting because when you're a younger person, you view anti-intellectualism as Philistine and barbaric, and you're like, oh no, not anti-intellectualism. But there's there's two different kinds. There's those who are just blessed to be anti-intellectual from birth, and
Yeah.
what marvelous lives they must live. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then there's those of us who have to go through the journey of thinking that we're smart and then getting to
Hmm.
a point, hopefully, because God, some people get stuck there, and that's the worst place you could get stuck.
Mm.
That's the people who are still like, oh, Trump supporter, what are you fucking your sister?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Or on the
Yeah, it's
other,
But
awesome. You should try it. No.
or on the other
dude,
side, writing neo-Passéism.
yeah,
Uh, I'm
jeez,
glad you said that.
yeah. No, they got upset with me. Um, But and actually I'm having Jack Norman who wrote Sleep Capricorn on tonight and he's pals with
Nice.
all them. So I'm gonna ask him about like what the hell's going on with this thing, man. Um
I'm unfamiliar with this. We don't have to
so
talk about it if you don't want to, but
no, it's fine. I mean, like I don't have any animosity towards them or anything. I just I had a boomer moment. Sometimes it still happens, like where you yell at your phone. And Substack kept showing me these essays by it's called neo-Passéism, right?
oh, okay, that thing.
And I basically I didn't do any due diligence. I didn't read any of it. I just saw the persona, right? And the
Hmm.
persona of this thing is a very kind of detached, sneering, like cultural critique type thing. And I'm sure it's probably tongue in cheek and there's levels to the joke that I'm not getting. But they had posted something about like Batman is neo passe is like a Batman takedown. And
Oh God.
I don't care about Batman one way or the other. Like
It's
I'm
like
No,
not
you
the
shouldn't.
Aye.
yeah.
it was like
Agreed.
it was like the
Agreed.
length of
If you manage to make it past 24, you should not fucking give a fuck about
About Batman. Yeah.
Batman.
And so like here's my boomer moment. Like I saw the Batman article and I just quote tweeted it and all I said was, please shut up. I hate your project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And that ruffled their feathers and there
man,
was
You were just speaking for all of us. That's okay.
Right. Right.
Here's the thing is you actually were because I saw that and then I shared it with these guys and
Hmm.
we all hate it
uh,
too.
I
Like
had a
I read through a couple posts. I mean, I didn't read that Batman post
I didn't.
because
I read nothing.
it
Hmm.
was longer than a novella.
Hmm.
But it's I actually wrote an entire like response post that I'm never gonna make public because
Hmm.
it always comes back around to like criticism of criticism never hurts. And so I always see
Mhm.
people like that as cowards.
I think that's the biggest thing for me. Again, not them in particular. Here's another thing too, before I say this. I also think they're very young. I think they're
Yeah.
young people.
Yep.
And so you do have to kind of be the old man on the porch who's like, they'll bump their head and figure this all out too. But if you're not in the arena, I uh I don't have that much respect for you. Meaning if you're not actively creating something positive, not you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
positive as in like you have added to something rather than trying to tear something down, then I don't have any respect for you. And I don't mind saying please shut up. And it was interesting to me how much it seemed to rile them up, like that simple little thing. And that's when I realized like, oh, I think I'm dealing with younger people because I've had so many years of like physical actual doors being slammed in my face, like being in sales type stuff. People yelling at me, people on the internet yelling at me, entire friend groups that I had, like all creating like cyclones of hate about JDO.
Mm.
That like if somebody told me, please shut up, I hate this, I'd be like, "Hmm, okay.
Yeah.
And I would just move on.
Yeah, but you don't understand how fucking important it is that we get the political orientation of Batman correct. God damn it! Don't you
Yeah,
understand?
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't read anything. I Brian shared a screenshot, and I just read the title, and then I read somebody's response, like commented about like, yeah, you find this is I don't know, something like this is truly what Batman is or some shit. And I was reading it, I'm like, you know, the people who actually wrote and drew Batman had all this critique and made stories about
About it.
Batman.
In the
Yeah,
80s?
in the 80s. Like,
Yep.
what the fuck are you guys talking about? And like I'm so peripheral to fucking comics, but even I know that there's a version of Batman now. I think it's called like Batman Beyond, not Beyond.
I know what you're talking
Abs-
about. It's absolute
Absolute
Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
where he's
Yeah.
like a poor guy. It's Batman as a poor
Yep.
guy that's like fighting.
Yep.
It's like, guys, what are you railing against? This is the most empty, boring, useless. If you want, like communist man or whatever it is you want to create, just
Hmm.
make a comic. Stop
Yeah.
doing this shit. No one needs
Yeah.
this.
One thing they said was that all of our haters are these middle-aged guys,
Uh,
guilty, who still want to play with like the IPs and toys of their like
No,
like
aye.
positioning us as like
them.
infantilized
Mhm.
as them basically, yeah.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
like no like and then they were like talking about my books, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, it's transgressive
Yeah.
cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon, and I was like,
That's what
yeah,
you're doing.
but also, man, it's kind of like, I mean, their critiques are right. I always say that there's nothing more devastating than when somebody just says back to you what you've said in dumb guy voice,
No,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and so like when they basically are just like reading back what I do, but in dumb guy voice. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I went through a phase where I was trying to be like important and edgy and subversive and all these things. And then this is well documented on hundreds of hours of podcasting. I eventually found out, like, ironically, when I became an actual adult with responsibilities and things that I had to take care of, that I was fine to go enjoy things again, to
Yeah,
just like them. And sometimes the
yeah.
things that I like are very serious and cultural shifting moments of literary greatness. And sometimes I like watching Cyber City 08008080808, right? Like, I mean, it's just a full spectrum, but that kind of like tight acidness of not being able to just investigate different areas of culture and be entertained by it. Ooh, not
Mhm.
entertained, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're being entertained, then you're not doing work. It's like
Mhm.
you guys, they'll get there, man. Those kids will
Yeah.
get there for sure.
Yeah. And that makes the young part makes a lot of sense to me because I think the thing that made me like directly turned off about it wasn't any of like subject matter or anything like that. It's this feeling of and I know it well because it used to be me, like
Hmm.
just being excited to find something to hate on.
Mm.
Hmm.
And like
Yeah.
you kicked the hornet's nest and they were
Hmm.
like,
Aye.
more food. Like it's
Hmm.
it's like, oh, more this
Hmm.
is sustenance for us. We're gonna tear this fucking middle-aged hack apart. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
The two,
And
what? Sorry, on you go.
oh, I was just gonna say, and you know, you're welcome to do that. The
yeah,
the fun thing is that again, once you get to a certain age, like
You
it
don't
doesn't
care.
hurt. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
And it feels like one of those things, again, when you're a young person, when you say, I don't really care, you really do.
Dude,
And
yeah.
I was like driving in my car the other day, and it was something not related to this at all. Man, I'm trying to remember the exact, I think I had just done that stupid thing, like where you're in the gas station and somebody says like you have a good day and you say like but just it's like not real words.
Oh.
Something that would be absolutely devastating as a younger, like you walk out, you're like, oh, you fucking, but like I walked out and I wasn't thinking about that at all. And it was only halfway down the road back to my house where this kind of meta realization of how little I cared about that hit me. And I
Mm.
started laughing like a little kid. And it was
Yeah.
because it was like it's so small, but it was so profound in that moment where I suddenly experienced what not saying it in
yeah,
word, but in deed and spirit, like
Mm.
feeling what not caring felt like, and I was like, I'm fucking free. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I think in those moments, because I have that with lots of things, right? Where it's like you see the change happen and you just continue walking through life and you're like, oh, cool, I noticed that this changes. But then for some reason, one little moment will happen where it like all hits you at once, that the relief of it actually being changed. And I think what
hmm
that actually is it's like pocket energies, like you from the past in that moment. There's like this past version of you that sees what's happening and catches up. And it's
Mm.
like
I
you
like that. Yeah.
reintegrate that energy, and at the same time, it like levels out and becomes what you are now with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's beautiful.
the what you're talking about, that's actual, the term shadow work is all thrown around, but that's what it actually is.
Hmm.
It's when you don't have these hooks that people can like snag onto and pull this like crazy emotional reaction out of you.
Hmm. Hmm.
I remember Duncan Trussell talking years ago about like trauma being like a tuning fork,
Mhm.
whereas like if someone strikes the same note, it'll vibrate in you the same way. And that's
Mm.
and that's
Mhm.
like that's very much what it is, where like there's you just don't have that attached to you anymore, so it's not gonna like shake you up or make you
Right.
react to the same way. And
Right.
yeah,
I
and I
wish
think I think you can do that on purpose, and I think it just over time that happens.
I think it's an overtime thing, dude, because like I was looking into shadow work and Gordon White always says that the ritual begins once you decide to do the ritual.
Mhm.
And so I think that's sort of what was going on. But when I started looking into literally looking into shadow work like a year or two ago, I
Mhm.
would read all these things and I'd be like, but what is it? But what do I actually do?
Do yeah.
And I think you just decide to do it. And then that's it. It's not like
Mhm.
a deciding to work out and then having to go to the gym. It's more like just you decide to do your shadow work and then some process in your soul or your brain or whatever starts running and you don't even it's just I didn't do anything. I don't know what it
Yeah.
Mhm.
was. I just one day I just actually didn't. And to be clear, it doesn't mean that I don't care about anything, right? Like I
Yeah.
Mhm.
obviously want people to be happy and but I no longer care about like how I guess that makes me look.
Mhm.
Like because I'm old and ugly and like and I'm past all of that now.
Mm.
And I know exactly how smart I am, which I've been blessed. I'm just smart enough. Just smart enough to know that I'm not smart. But not so. My brother is like the philosophy kid, like with the
Mm.
130 IQ, and he's the one I go to when I'm like, what does Kierkegaard mean by this? And he's very good at explaining it.
Mm.
But once you realize exactly how dumb you are, that you are middle-aged and that you're going to die, you can, there's actually something, I don't want to get like too far ahead because I am going to talk to Jack Norman tonight, but in his book Sleep Capricorn, a lot of the stories are about old people dying. And
Mhm.
he's a very young person, and the collection is very good. It's very extremely well written and thoughtful and deep. But what I was noticing as I was reading it, and this was, I'll bring it up to him, so I'm not like talking shit or whatever. But like what I did notice is that it does seem to be like a younger person's idea of what an older person feels when they're about to die. And it's a lot of like, oh,
Yeah.
I missed all these moments and I was busy doing this while I should have been doing this.
Mm.
And that's not my, I'm sure some old people think that way, but
Yeah.
as a person who's closer to the older end of the spectrum than the younger, that's just not how I look at things at all, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's more just like you kind of just enjoy things more, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh,
I think there's also at a certain age, there's like a relief sometimes too.
mhm.
Like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm starting to,
Yeah.
I have a therapist I work with who's she's either 99 or 100, one of the two.
God damn.
Yeah, and like she's still like on the ball and articulate. She's had a lot of falls, she's had a lot of injuries. And I get this like undercurrent in her where she's like, this can be over. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to keep doing this. And
Yeah.
I think you will get there if you've lived enough life where it's just like, yeah, I just that's enough. I don't know if I need
Right.
more of this. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because it kind of feels like if you are in your 20s and you're diagnosed with, terminal cancer or whatever,
Yeah.
that's a real tragedy. Like
Yeah.
that's upsetting. And when you are that age, you live under the threat of actual tragedy happening to you, right?
Yes.
Not to people who you love, but to yourself. And so it's frightening because it actually would be bad to die at
Yeah.
25 years old, right? That's
Yeah.
super sad. But when you get to, I mean, even past it's still sad. Like we would all be considered dead young if we died in the next
Yes.
few
Yeah.
years. But it starts to be less and less sad to yourself, right?
Mm.
You
Hmm.
would feel less and less sad about yourself if it were to happen, right? Because you're kind of like, well, I've been around, like, I want to be here so that I can take care of this kid and make sure that he grows up with a dad because that's important. But like, yeah, as you get older and older, you're like, my death is no longer a tragedy. It's natural. It's a natural thing, right?
Hmm.
And maybe that's part of it too. Maybe you're just kind of comfortable because it's kind of like when a plane lands and you're not in danger anymore, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of that feeling. It's like the plane of my youth has landed and now I'm free to get off the plane and wander around and get, picked up by a giant bird and taken somewhere. That's that's
It's interesting because I remember when I was younger having this feeling like life is, becoming what you are is about like building onto what's already there. You want to like stack things on and become things. And
right.
then like when you try those things and if God willing you're not that successful in the contrived stuff, so you don't
Hmm.
get too caught up in it. At some point you start to realize that like it's actually you're already all there.
Hmm.
There's nothing that needs to be added or constructed. There's nothing you need to become. It's actually more about chipping away the shit you
Yeah.
don't need.
Yeah.
And there are times like when you when you start to get within 5 years in either direction of 40, I feel like
Hmm.
something, at least for me, and I know other people I've talked to, it was like thing happens where stuff that has been like a plague on your existence or held you back for years because there's this cognitive dissonance between the way you really are and the way this contrived notion happens in your head. You just start to like let them fucking go. You just like
Hmm.
take a deep breath in and blow it out your ass. And
Yes.
then,
Yeah, absolutely.
and there's like
I,
this, the wave of relief from just being like, no, we're done here. Oh, thank God I had enough of that.
yeah, that was that was awful, and I'm glad that it's well. This is I was listening to the How I Write podcast, and they had Lee Child on, and who's probably close to 80 now, but still very. By the way, I recommend that episode and the one with Dean Koontz. The Dean Koontz one blew my mind. Uh,
Huh.
but the Lee Child one, he said something very frankly in that old manish kind of way that I'm so looking forward to just getting closer and closer, where I can just say things. Um, which if I had heard it when I was younger, I would have been like, "Fuck you."
Uh-huh.
And he said writing is an older man's game. He's like, I don't really think you can do what you want to do until you're past like 40 or so. And
Ah,
he had caveats with he's like, not to say that there's not great 20-year-old writers out there producing great work. That's not what I'm, but on balance, right?
Mhm.
You need to have gotten to this middle point of your life to really start producing. And I think what Brian is talking about there, what we've all been talking about for the past few minutes, is that thing, right? You
yeah.
can't actually see clearly enough to write honestly. Like I've said this before, but I kind of feel like God's Fear No Better is my first book, even though I've written
Mm.
like seven of them. And it's
Yeah.
because it's the first book, uh, good, bad, whatever, that actually just feels like me honestly making something that I want to make.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that only, and Berserker Club's the same way. And that only happens once you've, that same moment of being in the car and laughing like an idiot about how you legitimately are free and don't care anymore. Like that's the spirit that has to be in the work. Like you can't be writing something and have any inkling at all about how it's going to be received, while at the same time trying to make something that other people enjoy.
Mhm. You know, it's in I believe in like Renaissance era, like there are all the guilds
Mm-hmm.
and like the where we get masterpiece from is that was like your graduation from a journeyman into a master who
Mm.
could then produce works. And typically you weren't allowed to even get there until you were in your 40s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's sort of like because I think he was it Lee Child?
Lee Child. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's 100,000% correct. I
Mm-hmm.
think it is well also look at the six look at really successful author like George R. R. Martin. I think he was in his 60s when that shit
Hmm.
really started
Yep.
to blow up. And I
Well,
don't
and
know. Go ahead.
I had Andy Edwards on who wrote this great book Crowbar, which I highly recommend.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
But
just
his
finished it.
Yep.
what'd you think?
I'm still sitting with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of those.
it's this is interesting because I was like initially I was kind of not digging it because
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I also came out of reading well what was the fucking book? It was this book written in 1911, The House at the Borderland.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's written in 1911. It's a very different prose style. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go into Crowbar and it's written like a machine gun. It's just like that's how the sentences are going. I'm like I feel real uncomfortable about this. And
Mm-hmm.
it has like almost a hallucinatory quality with like the
Mm-hmm.
sentences pared down in that way. Um,
Yeah.
but I came out of it, and I'm like, it's very much like watching like a Lynch movie or something. I'm like, did I like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know what you mean. So personally, I fucking loved it, but I get
Uh,
100% get what you mean.
Yeah.
But when I had him on, he was talking about his mentor was David Milch, who did like
Mm,
NYPD Blue and Deadwood and all this kind of stuff.
mhm.
And he was saying that he basically was a heroin addict, Milch, not Edwards, throughout his time on NYPD Blue.
mm.
And then he kicked, and he would have been in his mid 50s when he started Deadwood.
Damn.
And then
Wow.
Yep.
it's because now, unfortunately, now he's suffering from Alzheimer's and he's in his 80s and he's on this kind of downward. So if he's in his 80s now, Deadwood was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep.
25 maybe.
2005, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was, when NYPD Blue started, he was in his mid 40s and
Mm.
then kicked the habit. And then Deadwood would have been in his 60s. And then John from Cincinnati. And Edwards told me this really sad story where he had, so Milch had always been a gambler or had a really bad gambling problem. And he
Mm.
had this great miniseries keyed up. It was Nick Nolte was the star, and then Dustin Hoffman is in it, and it was about a racetrack. And you might remember this story once I get to the punchline, but he had done like four episodes, and then one of the horses broke its leg on set, and PETA got the whole thing shut down, basically. And
Oh
that was
no.
like his
Yeah.
last his that was going to be his masterpiece, right? But anyway, to tie it back into what I'm saying or what we've been talking about is like Milch is a good example of somebody like when you do even when you're watching Deadwood, there's that feeling of like mysticism behind everything that's
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
happening, even though it's not
Yeah.
explicit. And he would have been like a 60-year-old man while he was like you
yeah.
just a young person can't write Deadwood. I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can't. You can enjoy Deadwood as I did, but like you could see a good example of this in the very first book I wrote when I was 23. It's very clearly me trying to skip the steps and get to the David Lynch part, right?
Mhm.
And I had this realization a few years ago, I think when I was writing Gods, where it was like the reason why you like the Invisibles or and the Filth and Takashi Miike movies is that all these guys went through there was steps that got
Uh,
them there. They didn't come right out the gate with the Invisibles or Itchy the Killer or whatever.
mm,
You know, Miike spent 10 years as a
yeah.
journeyman doing every job on set until he knew how everything worked. And then he got into the OVAs, right?
Yeah.
Like the Eye Catch Junction, which
And
is
the
like
V cinema and all that shit.
V cinema, bikini babes with machine guns type shit. And then he got to do his Yakuza pictures. And then after dozens of those,
Mm,
he started to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And then you have like Rainy Dog and Ley Lines. And those are
Yep.
Yakuza stories that have that kind of the flavor that we're now used
yeah.
to. And then you hit 1999, he would have been in his 40s at that point, and you get Dead or Alive Audition, Itchy the Killer,
Mm,
Agitator. Agitator's a couple years later, but there's this
Uh,
3 year period. Visitor Q, everything that he's known for is like right in this
mhm.
middle-aged period. For people who've never heard me speak before, I'm like he's my North
Yeah.
Star, right?
mm,
For creativity and everything like that. But and it does just all come from like the smartest among us, which is not me, would spend their youth humbly working the different trades and trying to understand things,
mm.
knowing that once they get to a certain point, a gnosis will occur, and then you're free to write. But
Yeah, I think it seems like the important thing would be to actually spend a lot of time in the field that you want to be in, regardless
Yeah.
of whether or not you're doing the thing you want to do or you care about the project. It's just being in the field.
hmm yeah, being in in reading a lot of books. I wish I had read more books instead of trying to write so many, you know?
Mm.
I
I
have
could
the
have spent that
opposite.
time.
I have the opposite
With,
problem. I wish I'd wrote more.
oh, really? Joe,
Definitely.
how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
34.
35. Okay, yeah, so you're
I've
right
not.
there.
I've got time. I've got time. You know what I
You're
mean?
right
But
there.
it's. I wish I'd spent more time just sort of banging my head against the wall, writing
Sure.
stuff. You
Okay.
know.
Interesting.
Uh,
Tell me more.
well, I mean, what you just said there, I had this 10 year period where I was like, I'm gonna not watch anything and just read the classics, read the Western canon, the European canon. I want to have a sort of continuum of all this stuff in my head that I can sort of refer back to. And what that just led to like a decade of just complete inaction. Now, don't get me wrong, I read obviously a lot of great books, obviously,
Mm.
but I just wish I'd spent that time just chiseling away at my own stuff because I feel like anything I do now, I'm just playing perpetual catch up with myself. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm here to
No,
assure you that you are not.
no, you definitely are not. That actually sounds fantastic. Having spent a decade reading all the classics, that's pretty awesome. In fact,
It
that's
sounds
a
like sorry, Kurt.
no, that's just that's an amazing base. And like, uh, there's so many places to take this. As someone who has like gotten, competent at an art,
Yeah,
uh,
you're all right.
the well, here's the thing. I sucked at the beginning, and I
Mhm.
when I was younger, I had this whole idea like And it was all or nothing. Like, because I was in art school and I was seeing people get hired by like Marvel Comics and shit, like right out of
Uh-huh.
school. Sometimes they wouldn't even finish the college degree; they would
Mm,
just get hired. And I was like, I need to be taught. I need these skills refined, and I found a teacher, and I studied with him for like 9 years, and that actually built the foundation. And I worked amongst that, but like it's all crap, you know. it's like
mhm,
it's like and I really do think that like the 10 years it's like there's a certain amount of the creative work you do is just like kind of like weight training for your skill,
Mhm.
mhm, mhm.
and it's just building that base. So Joe, you're not behind.
Well, yeah,
Just
especially
stop
because like
stop thinking that way.
with with
That's
visual
comforting.
art, with visual art, 10 years training your motor skills and your hand-eye coordination and like refining technique is weight training. But like you don't need any of that shit to use a keyboard.
Mhm.
So actually I think just reading is the thing to
What?
do. And now the tank is full
Yes.
and you just start now and like then get to the grindstone and by the time you're 40 you're like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
And,
Like
and
Mhm.
so okay, this I think is the biggest illusion with writing, is because everybody has to do it to some degree, so everybody thinks they can be good at
Yep,
yeah.
yep, yep.
Mhm.
It's
and
true.
and and
Like it's like fucking.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
I
I
gave up on that, dude. That's
Uh,
like you're stuck. This is what you're getting. But yeah, no, I
Nah,
think
which
it's now that the more and more I think about it though, I mean we follow these patterns whether we want to or not, and the patterns will be thrust upon us if we don't actively choose to become
yes,
apprentices. Life will make you an apprentice of something.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
my last book of this like early period, right, starting in 2010, the last thing that I wrote was in 2015 and it was Black Gum. And it was just auto fiction about, a guy who was me, who was, basically in a man in peril, right?
Mhm.
And then there's this desert, and then God's Fear No Better came out last year, 2025, right? So
Mm,
there's still that 10 years of just, it would have been better to have a mentor who could have like pushed me in one direction or the other.
mm,
But I
yeah.
had to find out a few things. I had to find out like if I even wanted to write, what I
Mm,
liked to write, what I like to experience. And then finally, at a certain point, you have this starting point again. Like, so again, I think I actually started well, God's Fear No Better, I started like 3 years ago. So I would have, or 4 years ago. So I would have been 35, right? So yeah,
mm.
30, 35 is when I picked it back up and started again. So it's good to have these training periods where you're figuring shit out. Oddly enough, I think musicians are the inverse, right? And
oh,
we might be
definitely. Yep.
kind of skewed here because, Hollywood and the record industry eats their vampires, right? Who eat young people. So maybe
Hmm.
that has something to do with it. But it does seem like most people's best stuff musically is when they're younger. I wonder why that
Yeah.
is.
I have some thoughts on this. I think it's because like it takes someone young and self-absorbed to have a singularity of purpose and to fully like have confidence in their vision in that way.
Mm.
I think when it comes to music, a blind confidence is a benefit.
Hmm.
It's like a
Yeah, I could see
virtue.
that. Yeah.
Um, because like you see someone on stage, as long as their energy is fully committed, they carry it. They can even play
Mhm.
bullshit. It could
Hmm.
even be bad music, but they can still carry it with the energy and the commitment. And you get older and you realize like you're not everything. You're not the
Mhm.
best. You're not that cool. And it becomes I mean like I'm just trying to learn how to write music again after 7 years of not doing fucking anything with it. And
Mhm.
everything's fine. Everything's still there. The skills, they don't go away, except lyrics don't just fall out of me like they used to because I'm not some tortured young person who thinks he's the center of the world, right? Like
Right.
I'm not sure where I'm even coming from. Like what do I even have to say to you that I wouldn't just put in a blog post and I'd rather put in a song? I think
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for that, leaning into like reading older dudes who wrote poetry might be
Hmm.
like the way to vibe shift and like connect
Mhm.
to this. Um, it can be more relaxed, objective sort of wisdom or observation than some kind of personal impassioned bullshit. But
That you use the word wisdom. That's what I've been trying to think of this whole time
oh,
with writing. It's like you need a little bit of wisdom before
mhm.
your writing can be any good at all. Or if really a lot of I work in the construction industry, broadly speaking. And yeah, the old guys, like they can build beautiful things. And sometimes they're not very smart, right? They, but they've just been doing this thing for so long. I've always been
Yeah.
obsessed with that. Like just the because I'm somebody who doesn't have besides writing, I don't have a trade, but trades have always been really fascinating to me. Like, oh, you were actually, I said you're not smart, but you're smarter than me because I had the road divided for me when I was 18 years old, and there was college, which to my credit, I did not want to do. I
Mm.
wanted to go to a trade school, but I come from a long line of professors and academics, and they were like, "You are going to college," and I said, "No, I'm not." And
Mm.
huge fight in my like calls every day, like, "You are going." "No, I'm not." Back and forth. And then they said, "Fine, if you go, we'll pay for it." And I said, "Well,
Mm.
that's a great deal. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can go for free. That's cool." Bro, I went one semester and they stopped paying. And
Oh no.
and then but then I have this sunk cost fallacy that I followed for the next 4 years because I was a young retarded person.
Yeah.
And but like I think about people who say they have no regrets are full of shit because there are things that objectively would have made your life better if you had done them instead
Mm.
or hadn't done them, right?
Mm.
And there's with wisdom comes like, okay, but I'm here now, and so, but that doesn't stop the regrets from existing. They exist, and that's one that I think about. Like, damn, I should have become I wanted to be like an electrician,
Mm.
Yeah.
And to my family, that was like, so you want to be like a trash? You want to be white trash? And I was like, yeah, kind of. Like, I
Like
think I just,
actually, you just
Yeah.
had really good instincts and you knew that like AI was going to take all the other jobs.
Yeah. In 10 years, this will be the better job. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And I ended up in that realm anyway. And I had to I have bumped, this is why people should listen to me. Is I, every single place that I'm at in my life, I got to by bumping my head over and over and over and again to get there, right? It's hard won wisdom. So yeah, everybody listen to me and never say that I'm wrong.
Well,
And stop reading Batman for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right?
that's that's something I think about a lot. Like Plato talked about like how written language gave you the illusion that you were actually like acquiring knowledge.
Mm.
But it's actually the illusion of knowledge unless you've lived it and it's something you actually know. Then
Mm,
it's still
mhm.
just theory. Um I don't really know how I was bringing that back around, but
No,
like
fuck.
I think I think
There's
just failing upward is those are lessons that no one can ever take away, and you never have any reason to doubt.
Mhm.
yeah, the
Mhm.
Yeah,
Greeks
you got like bruises and scars and stuff.
the Greeks had like three words for knowledge, and
Mhm.
gnosis is one of them, and that's the one that's knowledge gained through experience. I forget what the other two are. One's like tekte or something, and then but one is knowledge you've actually acquired through experience. One is knowledge you've acquired through hearsay, like you
Mhm.
listen to someone else's story, and then
The
uh,
internet.
yeah, I forget the third one. The third one's even more distant from
Mhm.
but
Probably
gnosis.
just like academic learning, right? Like that, just
Yeah,
reading history or
just
something.
rewrote bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
feeling up the body of the archons, that kind of thing.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
but gnosis, I think, is always more valuable than any of
Hmm.
the other two. If you
Yeah,
can,
and
yeah, go ahead.
I think that's I've often wondered why I have such a kind of distaste. I wouldn't go so far as disdain, but for what I call like company man writers, right?
Mm.
And they've been my friends, they've been my enemies, they've been everything in between while I was sort of running adjacent to the publishing industry. And I was like, why do I dislike the kind of guy who has an innate understanding of how the game works and plays the game, right? Goes and gets an agent, goes to the right parties, moves to New York City, gets in that way, and then writes a very calculating commercial thriller that then succeeds, right? And then they just keep going like that. And I don't think it's not hater-ish, right? Because I'd never care if people make money or are successful, but it's that first thing that bothers me, right?
Mm.
Is that they followed advice and they actually uh, played a game as it was laid out. And at me, the bull in the china shop who stumbled through everything and burnt bridges and burnt entire cathedrals down on my way to where I am right now, I'm just kind of like, man, you didn't even really have to try. And it's like, well, no, because they were smart and somebody was like, hey, if you want to succeed at this, do it this way. And then
Mm.
they did that. But it's always irrationally bothered me, right?
Well,
Is it does their success sustain?
Sometimes not.
Sometimes.
I've seen
Mm.
it go both ways, right?
Mm.
Um, Usually at the end of the day, if they're, well, we're in a very strange time. So I've seen a lot more failures than I've seen successes. And that's just because of how the publishing industry is right now, right? I
Mm.
think, well, Kurt, actually, you're making me feel a little bit better because there's been very few who have
Mm.
actually succeeded in that way.
Mm.
But even still, it's that mode of thinking about things that really doesn't sit well with me. Of like, I'm going to have this apparatus do things for me, and it's like, well,
well,
just do it yourself.
Well, it's so funny because half the time they won't even do anything for you. They
Not
might,
anymore,
or
yeah.
yeah, they might give you like a pit. Like I knew some authors, and I would ask them about their advances, and it'd be like, "You spent how long on this book?" And they're giving you what, like 10K,
Hmm.
like for this, and like,
Yeah,
and then you have to sell that amount out to then get.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's a certain point where it's just like, why bother?
Right.
It kind of brings up.
Because also they're going to tell you like I remember tangentially I had access to this agent, and I was talking to him about a graphic novel idea, and he was like, well, what you should do is do a Kickstarter for it. And I was immediately like, what the fuck do I need you for?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why, like, if I do
Hmm.
that, I'm not coming back to you. I'm not sharing any profits or any hard earned audiences that I have. I'm not going to share with you. Like, why would
Right.
I? Yeah, it's like you're basically telling me I'm fucking worthless, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just getting worse with AI. So yeah, I mean, there's all of that is true. I just think I've always kind of I don't know, I just have a distaste for people who are waiting for other people to do things for them.
Well,
Just bothers me.
I think it brings up an interesting question about like how much does success matter to you? Like how important is that on one's list of priorities? Because when you think about someone who's just like they've been told the rules, they've been told how to play the game,
Hmm.
and they just do that and they get results. It feels really hollow. Like it feels like you're
Yeah.
not actually putting skin in the game. You're not actually like risking anything or living your own story. It comes back to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're making a boring story out of your life. I think
Ooh,
that's kind of what bothers me about it.
that is brutal. And I'm going to use that if I ever get into an argument with these people. I'm like, you are turning your life. If somebody told me that, that would hurt my feelings for real. Uh, well, to answer that first question, does success does matter, and I'll tell you why in the form of a story. We had an ice storm recently. So everything was shut down for about a week. We stocked up on groceries. We were really smart about it. I got to Walmart before the hordes did. And so we were all stocked up, fires going in the fireplace. We're cozy and we're trapped for 3, 4 days, right? The only responsibility that I have is to make sure that I drip the faucets so pipes don't burst. And in that time, I was able to wake up in the morning, do my little Tai Chi exercises, take a shower, putter around. I'm a huge fan of puttering. It's the best. Think about things, enjoy things, look out the window at the snow and the beautiful gray sky. And because I love snow. I love like that desolate. It makes me feel oddly warm when I look at it instead of cold. And so I'm having this great time. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to sit down as I feel like it in between bowls of chili and cups of tea and write, right?
Mm.
And I'm able to spend my entire day doing that. And by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, I've played with my son, I've played some video games, I've written, I've had this amazing day. And then at 6, I start winding down, and the wife and I watch X-Files, and then we go to bed, and then we do it again the next day. And on
Mm.
like the fourth day of that, I realized I'm not getting tired of this at all.
Yeah.
Like I could just keep doing this. And of course, if this was my life, there would be days where I'd have to go get my car registered or do my taxes or whatever, right? Every day wouldn't be exactly like this, but if we could get 80% close to that shape, that would be the life that I wanted. And so success matters in that respect, right? I want
Mm.
Yeah.
that life. It's not a car, it's not a house, it's not any of that. It's not people even recognizing it, which we can get into real, because this has been fascinating to me, that this discovery that I've made. It's the ability to live that life is what I want. So success matters in as much as I get that. So there are people, I was talking to Eddie Rathke about this the other day. There are people who you have never heard of, writers who you have never heard of. And if you went onto Amazon, you'd see that their books have between 70 and 200 reviews, so nothing big. You're thinking to yourself, like, okay, this person probably makes a little chunk of change on the side. They direct sell everything, right?
Mm.
And so they use Facebook ads, they use email newsletters, Klaviyo, right, which is a very annoying program if you're on the receiving end of it, but it works. It's a sales thing. It, it
Mm.
it's the thing that when you go to cancel your subscription to Foot magazine or whatever, like it hits you up like 2 weeks later and says, "Are you sure you don't miss our feet?" It's that thing. But these people who have these, 70 reviews on Amazon who you have never heard of are millionaires, right?
Mm.
And they're quiet millionaires about it. This is knowledge that I gained not because they were starting courses or whatever, but because I dug and I found them and I started talking to them, and they live these wonderful, awesome lives where
Mm.
nobody on the internet knows who they are. Nobody's talking about them, but they have this dedicated, because think about it, we live in a country of 300 and whatever million people.
Yeah.
And they've literally done the thing where they found 10 to 20,000 people, which is a tiny, 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 tiny fraction of that.
Hmm.
And whenever they release a book, all 20,000 of those people buy it.
Yeah.
And so they do that 2 or 3 times a year. And they're like, yeah, this is the life I live. Funny, right? And when that happened, I was like, this is again, this not to keep harping on these people, but this is the internet in general. When you go on Substack or Twitter or whatever, everybody still thinks that people have to know who you are
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
successful. And when
Yeah.
I discovered that that's not the case, my heart grew 3 sizes like the Grinch, dude. I was like, I can be virtually unknown and tell stories for a living. Let's fucking go. So
Uh,
that's what I'm doing right now, direct sale. Like I'm setting up my store, and we're
mm.
going to AWP in a couple of weeks in Baltimore. And every time we direct sell, whether it's in a flea market, because some of these people literally go to farmers markets to sell their books, right?
Mm.
Every time I sell direct, people buy the book from me, right? If
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, I can sell you God's Fear No Better if you're inclined to like that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, so there has to be a way to make that process where I can do that in real life, but also simulate it on the internet so
Mm.
that you can buy from me. And then it's just about marketing and ads and having these wonderful, that's in scare quotes, these wonderful AI bots that have all this customer data on Facebook
Mm.
find the people who are going to like that thing so that I keep giving Facebook money to keep doing that thing to make me money.
Mm. Uh, I want to, it's not quite the same thing, but I knew all these concept artists, big ones. They worked on like Guillermo del Toro stuff and
Oh, cool.
uh, um, like And one guy back on the first Avatar, this guy was like his name's what is it? Rob, not Rob Ray, Rob something. It doesn't matter. But he was talking about how like I was asking him like who do you think is one of the most amazing concept artists? And he said this guy's name, and I was like, who is that? He's like, oh, well, he was one of the like background painters, like matte painters for Avatar, and like he shared his files with me, and they're the most amazing, intricate, incredible fucking things. And it's like he doesn't have a site. And he's like, no, no one knows who he is except for the people that hire him, and he's
Yeah.
the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that like, is it, dude, doesn't that get you fucking hyped? Like it gets me fucking hyped.
Yeah.
Like the idea that you could be
An art assassin.
an art
Yep.
assassin. Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
And
I mean,
that's
like you could just be, you could live this beautiful, quiet life and make a living from it
Mhm.
and just keep telling. Oh man, I'm literally going to stop because I'm just going to repeat everything I just said because that idea is so sexy to me.
That's like
Yeah.
kind of the ideal creative life, I think, in a way. Like perfect anonymity, but huge retarded wealth as
Yeah.
well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no,
Yeah.
not a lot of obligation to sort of go and show your face and stuff. That sounds
Oh,
ideal.
oh my God. Wouldn't that just be, that would just be perfect. And the thing is that with all technology, there are positives and negatives, right? I mean, we all tend to focus on the negative. We're atomized and we spend too much time on our screens, and all that is true. But what it also did, and what the shoe salesmen of the world have figured out, is that it's really streamlined and automated the sales process in such a way that that's realistic, in a
Mhm.
way that it wasn't realistic 10 years ago to do that. You can do it all by yourself if you just do it. It's
Yeah.
just the doing part
Doing the
that's boring.
I realize what it is. It's you want the work to be famous, not you.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would love if 100,000 people read Berserker Club, but nobody talked to me or or knew what I look like. I
Yeah.
already have too much of a footprint online, so I mean, that's out the window for sure. But yeah, I mean, like you don't really want, when you see people, I was intentional about this with God's Fair No Better and Berserker Club, maybe to those two books' detriment, but I didn't do the spray and pray massive marketing push that I
Hmm.
could have done, that I could
Mm.
have afforded to do, specifically because I wanted them to be slow burns and find the right people, right?
Yeah.
And this doesn't just come from not wanting people to be mean to you on the internet. It comes from like, I don't want to waste your time.
mm,
I don't
Mm.
art as a service-based thing is telling people, hey, this is 100% your shit and you are going to love it. But then the other people being like, this is not you. Like you are not
Mm.
going, like, don't give me money for something that you are going to hate because that is going to breed resentment, right?
Uh,
And sometimes there have been people who I was sure would love gods, and they were like, yeah, it was okay, right? And that's fine because my heart was in the right place. I thought they were gonna like it.
mm.
Um, but yeah, this kind of just like I'll sell it to whoever. I don't give a fuck. Well, I mean it's bad for you, but it's also just, in my opinion, that's kind of unethical to try to sell people art that they're not gonna like.
yeah.
Well, having worked in advertising, what you're talking about is that's how all large brands think is they have like a target customer, and that's who they're actually servicing, and then like you get some on either side of the edges, but you're still you're just still trying to like and I mean marketing people will say that, our salespeople will say that too, is like the best customer um is the one you've already sold to,
Yeah.
Yep.
because
Yep.
you don't have to find a new lead, they're already there.
They're already
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing about this direct thing and how these people have managed to amass such great numbers of people buying their books is it's as simple as having a newsletter and having
Mhm.
that list. You'll hear these people talk about the list. It'll be like, how did you get to where you were? They're like, I spent 8 years building my list. And it's
Mm.
list with a capital L. And so again, how is it that these people cannot be on social media and you have no idea who they are? It's because they don't care if you know who they are. There's no
Yeah,
there's
human
no
connection.
utility, right? I think we
Mm,
all in some sense joined Substack or X or whatever with the idea that this will have some utility in customer acquisition, right? It's not really it's a sales-based proposition, not a social one. And I'm here to say that my eyes have been opened to the glory of that not being true. Like, I'm
mm,
once again seriously considering, although I do like the idea of putting fiction on Substack, kind of, but I'm seriously again considering just shutting all of that down and
mm,
not having it anymore because
mm.
I don't, the same way that I laughed like a kid when I realized I didn't care, I also had a similar moment of happiness where I'd no longer actually feel compelled to look at the phone, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. There was this long period of time where I wanted more than anything to not look at X or look at Substack, but I just kept looking at it. And then again, one day, I was just like, oh, I don't care. And so I just wasn't on it. And I would go on it every once in a while to post, usually after I'd had like 2 or 3 beers. I'd be like, this is going to be funny. But, but other than that, yeah, no.
Well, I also wonder if there's some part of it that's like this is a diseased animal now, and it's gonna die soon.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
sort
there's
of.
definitely that. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where it's like, oh man, like I go on I go on Twitter or X or whatever, and it's just I mean, I'm glad that Elon Musk bought it because it was
Hmm.
becoming like a propaganda arm of an oppressive government.
Hmm.
The alternative to that is what it has now become, which is a cesspool. But it's
Yep.
good. That's what it was always supposed to be.
Hmm.
Yep.
And so it's kind of nastiness and that it pushes you away. That's great. That's awesome. Now all the
Hmm.
mutants can just like be in their little swamp together,
Yeah.
and I have no illusion that there might be some utility to it. So
Have any of you guys spent any time on Blue Sky?
No.
never,
No.
no.
Give yourself a treat at some point. Go on Blue Sky for half an hour. Uh, it'll, you'll appreciate Twitter. I'll say that.
I've seen
Uh,
screenshots from Blue Sky where it's like the most diseased part of the liberal mind, right? Where it's like the trans shooter, we have to make sure we use the right pronoun type
yep,
shit.
yep, yep.
Um, it's really funny because they did become the ultimate versions of themselves, right?
Yep.
When that split happened and everybody could kind of go their own way, you
Final
have
form.
yeah, the final form of both. You
Uh,
have like the most absurd liberal people on Blue Sky and the most absurd conservative people
mhm.
on Twitter. And so now it's fun. Yeah, it actually is kind of fun. I would agree with that to just kind of peek at it and be like, "Holy cow, is that real?" Like,
And the way the sort of like attention economy has sort of evolved nowadays, like I feel like pretty much every social media platform just pre-select for the most like crazy fucking person. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like moderation, centrism in the non-political sense, any kind of just non-extremity is just like no allowed. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
and
like
it's also crazy like YouTube. YouTube is probably the only thing that I have like an actual like account with, and like some of those videos you shared with us, Joe, like the way it just completely reshuffled the fucking algorithm and things that are just showing up for like, huh, okay, hopefully if I ignore this long enough, this will go back away.
uh,
Yeah.
I think my YouTube algorithm's going to get me put on a fucking list at some point, man.
But
Honestly,
you're already on the list.
I'm going to get chucked out of Scotland at this rate.
Yeah, there's my YouTube algorithm is all like boiler room sets and
Nice.
uh and then like Orthodox Christian people telling you that being gay is bad. That's pretty much it. Like there's this really fun thing because I do actually I hopped on the hype train and I started going to the local one. And I like it. I have no intention of we talked about this. I have no
Mm,
intention of like becoming a member of it. I go there and I sit and I'm like, I'll share this space with you people for a while. But like there's been this crazy overlap between the manosphere and orthodoxy where
I've
it's like
noticed.
it's like lost young men. And so there's this certain type of like jacked Orthodox priest who's
It's
who's like telling you not to jack off type
it's like
shit.
it's like the photoshopped meme with the big fucking guy at the tiny laptop saying you should respect all women or whatever. It's like that, but like in real life. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that meme. The three jacked guys on their laptops. Like yeah, dude. Yeah, no, it's that's part of my YouTube thing too, because I have watched videos of trying to find stuff on like Callisto's Ware and stuff like that, like and the Magus of Strovolos, which I believe Kurt told me about.
Yeah.
Um and it's like, oh, you like Orthodox stuff? Like here's this guy who's telling people why they should get married or,
Yeah.
like which, fine. That's actually I'm doing that sneering thing that I don't like because that's fine. It's fine to
Hmm.
tell young men that, hey, you should get married and settle it. Like that's okay. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. The Boiler Room sets. Have you seen his name's Yosuke Yoshimura?
no.
He was this dude who was like he was like a janitor or something, but he got brain cancer and they removed the tumor and he became like this incredible, like the most insane DJ of all time, right? It's awesome. I will link you guys. Like his set at the Boiler Room Tokyo is like it's. I'm impressed by DJs. I think people are like, oh, it's just they're just twisting the little knobs and like not do. But when you do it the way that he does it, where like he's breaking, like he's getting into, are they called the stems, right? Like the different
Hmm.
kind of, and he's repurposing them in this almost like girl talk kind of way. I don't know if you guys remember girl talk,
Love
Yep.
girl talk.
Yep.
but yeah, he's incredible. So thankfully that's where my YouTube is. My TikTok is also very cool because it's all cryptids and like a lot of them I go past and they'll just be holding a crystal up and they'll be like, stop scrolling. Your life is about to change. Your reality has
There's so many
shifted.
of that shit. Yeah.
We get some of
David,
that stuff on our YouTube feed because my wife watches. We watch. It's like logged in through the TV. So like it's this combined madness of like both the things we both watch. And
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah,
like
yeah.
this steady stream of paranormal videos and like the 10 most terrifying camping encounters. And then like
That shit is catnip to me, dude.
it's
Like,
me too and
I
her.
will
But then
watch it.
like I'll watch like then I'll go on like a 24-hour Elden Ring lore binge. And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like, "What the fuck is this?" Like
Yeah, that's like my Amazon Prime. It's like X-Files stuff and then what my wife watches, which is like sitcoms. And then my son really got into this show called Steve and Maggie, which is an Australian guy and like his little magpie.
Mm.
And
oh, cool.
it's a really bizarre show. Like there were some episodes I was watching with him, I'm like, is this okay? But
Mm.
like it's like ghosts and zombies and shit like that. And I was like, he's my son. He needs this in his life. But it,
Was the
it led to
magpie
this
blue?
no, it was black. But
Okay.
but if you look close enough,
Okay.
uh ooh, actually I would like to get to more of Joe's quotes, but one real quick funny thing is he watches so much of this Australian show that he'll say certain things Australian, right? He'll be
Uh-huh.
like, I guess they say like Steve always says like you naughty naughty bird. And so he'll walk around the house being like, you're a naughty naughty daddy. I'm
adorable.
like I'm like,
Does
this
he
is
does
America, son. Like
does he say heaps yet?
he doesn't, but I like a lot of
Uh,
Australian slang is fun.
I like
Yeah.
heaps.
I like
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
heaps.
they call you a legend.
Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
too.
We
That's my favorite.
we say Legendale here as well. That's aye.
Huh?
I'm going to say that they hoovered that off us. I'm going to
Yeah.
Well,
cre
at
I'm going to
first,
credit
so
Scots for that. Aye.
I think I actually did. I used to be close buds with this dude named Barry Graham, uh, who is a crime writer, a Scottish crime writer, and like a Zen Buddhist monk. And I used to hear him say like legend or legendary
Mm,
all the time.
aye.
Um, but he was an interesting character, great
Aye.
writer, fantastic writer, but strange. He's one of those people who like you look like I'd never looked him up online because I was just introduced to him when I was living in Portland. And you look him up and there's all this like he set up this monastery and it was all a scam type shit. Which you don't know if that's true. Like that could just be people trying to,
Yeah, it's
I don't
true,
know.
true. You
I
don't know.
mean, but at the same time, do any of us have fake monastery claims online? Brian, do you
Man,
have
I
any?
Uh,
wish.
not yet.
Not yet.
Uh, that would be such a
Christian,
flex.
I'd
Christiananimism.com. Are you sure you want to leave? You haven't understood that everything is alive yet. You haven't.
yeah.
Oh, I'll get in trouble for that because Christian animism is already a thing. That's why I had to make the Christianimism. You have to make it one
And
word. Christian
what's
animism
the
is
difference?
uh I believe Christian animism is essentially like what's that word?
Everything's the logos.
Like not animism but
Oh, panpsychism.
it's
Uh,
like panpsychism but everything's Jesus essentially.
Yeah.
Panpsychism is animism for pussies.
It is actually. I mean, it's just for people that refuse to believe in like the agency of invisible beings, which I get it. It's scary.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
if you're not
But
used to it.
also grow a pair. Come on. Be
Yeah,
real. Be
that
real.
too.
Yeah, that was very well said, actually. It really is about that. Like when I explain to people what I think about it, that like everything's alive. They're with me. They're with me, and I'm like, and because of that, I also think that mountains have agency. They're like,
Mhm.
well, wait, what does that mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really know, but but I feel it, and it
Mm.
sounds cool. Um, but Joe, yeah, do you have more Martin Shaw quotes?
oh, there's a good one here. Let me see. This is this is a short one. This is a nice and a neat and tidy one. This is Shaw speaking about the difference between a map in storytelling terms, a map versus an atmosphere. The two sort of modes a story can come in. Um,
Mm,
quote. A map is for the eyes and is a directional A to B to C arrangement, whereas an atmosphere wants to be intuited, navigated by questioned fingertips and the body and nerves, not eyesight. Atmosphere doesn't reveal the quickest route to your destination like a map, but instead offers a complete encounter. Right? So
mhm,
that's
mhm.
uh
Mm.
that's good.
That's interesting. No, I like that, and I wonder what it'd be cool to see examples of what a map versus atmosphere look like in practice, right?
Hmm.
And that, I mean, so what's so great about these, like, if you want to succeed at something like what Martin is doing, it's to have a signal and to actually make that signal very strong and pointed, right? Because this quote ties back to the blue feather language quote, right? I mean, it's in the same wheelhouse at least, right?
Mhm.
About
Mhm.
how about kind of dead inert language versus this kind of alive, in this case, atmosphere, right? Which is immersive and allows people to make their own connections. And oh, you know what? Brian just used the word agency, right? And he's kind of talking
Mm.
about that here, right? It's like a map is trying to strip you of your agency, whereas an atmosphere allows for it, right? So it's about, like in prose terms, it would be about constructing something that people could have agency within to pull
Mhm.
out what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost sounds like he explained the same thing in each quote, but so that you could have a more rounded idea of the like
Mm.
whole picture, or so like people that think differently might understand one way of explaining it better than another or something.
I,
Or even one is a little more micro and one's a little more macro because
Mhm.
like
aye,
the second one sounds more like about like structure
aye,
and the pattern of the story versus the first
aye.
one sounds more about like the actual language and the sentences.
Micro and macro is exactly how I sort of delineated
Yeah.
them in my head. Aye.
Hmm.
Um, f wait, there's another very quick one if that's all right.
Hmm.
The let me just see. I mean, there's a let me.
half the book is highlighted.
No, it's a lot. I really, it's just because so much of it is genuinely fucking
We're here for
revelatory.
8 hours, just basically ripping this
Just
audio.
me, just me soliloquizing. Uh,
Well,
right.
while you're fine, when you were back talking about the person that followed the rules of the game, and then the
Mhm.
person who like hits their head the whole way and like learns that way,
Mhm.
and is it's funny because I just total anecdote here. My wife had never seen Training Day, and we watched that last night, and she
Hell
loved it.
yeah.
She was not
Mhm.
prepared for it to be like such a fucking good movie. Like it just, I think she was probably expecting it to be more entertaining than anything. But as you were saying that, I kept picturing like the person playing the game is Denzel, and
Yeah.
the other person is like the skinny white boy who gets shit on the whole movie and then finally like comes back around.
Yeah, yeah, and you do find that when you're not Denzel, like the spiritual forces of Training Day are the neighborhood,
Yeah,
right? And so a lot of people have a problem with the beginning of the third act where Ethan Hawke is in the tub and he's going to be killed by the gangbangers, and they find the gangbangers' little cousin or sister's wallet. And this is a girl who earlier in the movie he saved from being raped by a bad guy, right? And people are like, oh, that's too much of a coincidence. And it's like, no, that's the whole point of Training Day is that Denzel thinks that he's in control of this force, right? And the guy who's bumping his head against the wall, just trying to do the right thing, is in this god's favor, which is the
Mm,
god being downtown Los Angeles, right?
mm.
So I've always actually really liked that the almost mystical element of it. People don't know how to respond to mysticism. They call it lazy plotting, or
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
like no, that happening is actually it would be a less good movie if that didn't
Mhm.
happen.
Mm.
I think that's the highlight of the movie to me is that scene.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so
Where the
fucking intense.
it's very you ever have your shit
Pushed it.
pushed in? That guy is on an episode of the X-Files where he plays a guy who turns into a chupacabra. And it's the worst X-Files episode
Tuco?
of all time. Yeah, Tuco. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's
I,
a
I
and,
I didn't even remember he was in this, and as we were watching it, I was like, "Oh, that's definitely where Vince Gilligan hired him."
well, Vince Gilligan would have hired him on the X-Files, right?
Aye. Yep.
Oh
Because
shit!
Yep.
you
Oh
know,
damn, that
yeah,
just clicked. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So he was in that episode, and what makes it so bad is that it's all supposed to take place in Mexico, essentially, or close to Mexico at least. And they got a bunch of brown people who clearly didn't actually speak Spanish, right?
Yep.
And so Tuco's character, the actor, right, you can tell like he doesn't speak Spanish actually, which is
Mm.
kind of surprising to our white people brain. They're like, wait, but he'll be like, "Yo soy el chupacabra," he'll like say it like that. And so like if you speak or understand Spanish or just live around Mexicans, you immediately grok that like, yeah, that's not real Spanish. And then it's just a goofy episode. Like when he turns into the chupacabra, he looks like handsome Squidward. You know that
Yeah.
meme?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Is it shot in yellow? Like
it
as
does have a yellow because they this
The
was
piss
back in
filter.
the Vancouver days, and so the fun part about the X-Files is for the first 5 seasons, trying to see how they tried to disguise Vancouver as different locations, and then
Yep.
they moved to LA, and then the fun becomes like how do they disguise LA as all these different locations? Basically, so
Yeah.
They'll be in Pennsylvania, and they'll be in the high desert for some reason, and it's like okay, but
Um,
yeah.
Joe, did you have that quote?
Oh, aye.
Sorry to derailed a bit, but
No, 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 no. That was good. It was like simultaneously praising and shitting on the X-Files a bit. That's good.
Yeah.
That is a really fucking bad episode as well. I can remember what you're talking about. It's fucking
Yeah,
terrible.
shit's bad.
Right. Quote. Right. I had to clear my throat. Quote again. We'll do it again. Quote. Oral storytelling is a redemptive act of resistance and delight in the form of despair, in the face of despair and franchise. In its purest form, it is completely countercultural. It's a polyphonic mosh pit that refutes any mono meaning and flips outrageously and reverently between known and unknown worlds. It's how we quilt our life to the other world and how we occasionally glimpse heaven. I tell ancient stories because I know that ancient stories are in our future too. Damn.
Ooh.
Ancient
And,
stories are in our future too. I remember
yep.
that from the book. I remember driving and being like, God damn it, Martin, you son of a bitch.
Yep, that's fucking that's wild.
That's wild. And it's also what I love about him. Gordon White does this too, is that they they view the praxis of what you're doing as the ends and the means at the same time, which is really hard to wrap your head around, and why I think some people might bounce off of it because they think, well, you do this praxis and then something happens, and then what do you do? No, you
No.
you stop
Mm.
right there. You do the thing, right? So Oral's does like he does, Martin Shaw does this a lot in the book where he's talking about myths, and he's very clear to say like this is not going to make your skin prettier or your love life better
Yep.
or whatever, right? It's actively the act of telling a story out loud is the end in and of itself. It's
Mm.
story coming back alive, which is right up my fucking alley, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
Because of course stories are alive. That's what gods and demons and all these things
Mm.
are, right? Which
And
they've been having an absolute field day over the past 50 years, right? Uh, but no, I really like that. And you have to make your language beautiful because Gordon's a beautiful writer as well. Especially in like animistic. I thought that was just a actually like joy to read that book, in addition to it being a cool idea book. Um, but yeah, I mean, they have tough, like Gordon's been re-explaining the same thing for 10 years, the 10 years that I've
Yeah,
been a part
yeah,
of Rune Soup,
yeah.
and I listen to every new episode as it comes out, and obviously we all keep in touch with them and everything like that. But at a certain point, when you kind of get it, I move away from Rune Soup. I never unsubscribe, right? But I move away, and then like
Mhm.
6 months will go by, and then I go back to it, just like to be again like refreshed
Mm-mm.
in those ideas. And Martin Shaw's the same way. I subscribe to the House of Beasts and Vine, and I don't read every post, but like when I need
Mm.
that little reminder about the importance of story, and he doesn't even go as far. Like people had problems with Paul Kingsnorth's book because
mm.
they were like, "Well, this is all gloom and doom, and but what do you actually do about it?" Which is not the point of the fucking book, right?
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
the
Yep.
point is making you realize how bad everything is, and then you're supposed to just kind of generate your own ideas. Martin's that way too, right? He's like
Mm.
Mm.
the book, for as authoritative as it is, somehow avoids ever really, with some exception, telling you what to do.
Mm.
Mm.
It's like here are my thoughts, and here's what I think those thoughts mean, and you can do with them what you want. It's really Liturgies of the Wild is really not polemical in that way, which I guess makes it different than King's North's book. But I think those two we're gonna look back in a decade or two and be like, those two were like this interesting
Yeah.
turning point.
Well,
Mhm.
100%, definitely. And
Hopefully it's that and not like, do you guys remember when they let us have books?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like, or in 10 years from now, it's just, just screaming and fire. Just a shrill wailing. Yeah, no, the books, yeah. And man, talking to you guys now, I want to go right. Cause it's like, there's like a nobility and a dignity and frankly a coolness to what Martin Shaw does
mm.
that makes me want to do like kind of makes me want to be like him.
Oh,
Not do what he's doing,
yep.
but I want to be cool like that and be like, I'm not just a story, like I'm a storyteller, yes, but that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And you should think it's cool, right?
Mm.
Not like Alan Moore, grouchy ass, gauntleted fingers, like, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Or fucking Grant Morrison becoming a they them type and having nothing left to say because he's in a castle. I love you, Grant. I'm sorry. But
That's funny. I love Alan
Uh,
Moore.
yeah,
I love
I,
him,
yeah.
but
I,
he has become a cantankerous old fuck for
yep,
sure.
yep. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Like the other day, well, it was a while ago now when we were covering the last wee block of The Prisoner, and Alan Moore's thing about he didn't like Twin Peaks: The Return because there weren't enough black people in it, and I'm just like, brother. Brother, you're Aaron Moore. What the fuck, dude? Why do you care about that?
That is something, and maybe it's beyond the scope of this conversation right now, but something that I've been turning over in my mind is how this mind virus infected a very specific type of person,
Mm,
right? A
Hmm.
type of person who 10 years ago would have just been like normal, because
hmm
Yeah.
that's all that happened is like the four of us just still think the same way we thought 10 years ago, right? We didn't
hmm
get the update somehow. Thank
I
God.
I did for a little while, and then I had to like ex almost exorcise it.
Did you
But
really?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like, well, when we first started talking, it was like I didn't even remember how to speak like myself anymore because I was genuinely that afraid of saying something offensive every time I opened my mouth online. And
Wow.
like my way of dealing with that was to just go full bore and offend everyone, so
Sure.
I didn't have to be stressed out about it. But like,
That
yeah,
is
no, it
the
took a
that is
lot of
the
healing.
antidote, actually. Unfortunately for people who are listening to this and they're like, "Oh, I'm gay. I suck. Like I can't say anything that I like." You just have to just go post the N-word. Just go do it. Just
Well,
rip the Band-Aid off. But yeah, no, but it's interesting. Like Alan Moore, Grant Morrison,
Grant
right?
Morrison, yep.
Who I like meeting Grant Morrison was like the one of the best. I was such a super fan,
hmm
and as you can probably tell, I can talk when prompted. I can talk, and we sat down and it was like this round table with like three other people. We you each got 5 minutes with him to like just talk about. I monopolized that time completely. My wife was with
Hmm.
me too, and she was like, "You didn't let anybody else speak," and I was like, "When am I gonna get this chance to
Yeah.
tell him what we three is actually about?" Like he has to know. Uh, but but yeah, no, they every creator across the board, there's the boring answer, which is institutionally these became the diktats that these authors had to exist by if they wanted work. And so, like anything else, when you live under a type of rule, you start to get Stockholm syndrome and
Mm.
try to figure out why actually this thing that you're doing out of fear actually is the right thing that you should be doing. That's true. But there's something else going on. There's a again, there's an agency to this virus that I wonder like whose mental defenses were there was like that hole in them, right?
Yeah.
That this thing could just like slip through. And then some of us just made it through. Okay. Some of us with more lumps than others,
M
right?
Morrison is
Um,
a perplexing one though, because he's almost 70. You know what I mean? It's very weird to come out as non-binary almost into your seventh decade of life. You know
And
what I
does
mean?
yeah.
does it even
Oh,
does it even matter
I
at
don't,
that point? Like,
I don't know this story arc. What's going on with him? He's
He's
a
he's non-binary. Yep, he's a they them.
okay.
Aye.
I
Yeah.
mean, isn't everyone when they're 80?
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
you do. You know, yeah.
Did
Uh,
anybody read his novel? Grant
Buddha,
Morrison's
yeah.
novel?
Yeah,
Aye,
yeah. Hmm.
I thought it was cool.
I did not think it was bad.
Aye, I
It
thought it was
kind of
cool.
reminded me of Invisible Monsters a little bit,
Ah,
actually.
yep, yep.
But yeah, no, I mean, like I will always love him. He
I
will
like
always be
hmm
like Mike Morrison.
Yep.
Like those are my Mount Rushmore guys. But
Aye.
yeah, I think that there's a living quality to let's just call it like what fucking Breitbart calls it. Let's for the sake of and forgive me, but the woke mind virus, right?
Yep.
Let's just get over the cringeness of that and what they mean by that.
mm.
Mm,
And but there's something it's alive in some way, and
mm.
I wonder what it's doing. It has to connect to Epstein somehow, right?
well,
Yeah.
well, I think in some ways everything does, but
Yeah. He's really like he's the main character of
he's Mr. World.
yeah.
Yeah, he's Mr. World. But it's something that actually somehow just hit me for the first time the other day. I've been meaning to write about it, but like the far left is the toxic feminine,
Of course. Yep.
and the far right is the toxic masculine.
Inarguably. Yep.
Like it just is.
Yeah.
And I think with some people, especially like men who allowed themselves to be sort of drawn up in like this overly academically rigorous like labeling of fucking everything and like so much social awareness that you can't even get through your day without, having a panic attack or something. Like I think a lot of the men who got involved with that did so because the hot chicks are involved with that.
Definitely an incentive, I
I
think.
really think that
Yep.
is 90% like the because I used to consider myself a left-wing liberal male. Uh I know like a lot of the people that I grew up friends with and stuff, like a lot of the girls I knew, like men that they married, there's this very NPR listening like chai latte feel. And th not that that's bad, but I think there's just like some men figured out that to be with the kind of like girl that they like, they needed to performatively like accept certain things. And I
Hmm.
think
Totally.
you can't really do that on the surface. It it ends up being something you actually adopt.
Hmm.
Right.
I
That
know
makes
it's
total
like
sense. Yeah. And that
it's a
also,
simple answer, but I know.
but I like it. I like it as again, one of the nodes of this thing, this Cthulhu beast is the fact that when women started to get more power, like in the workplace and in especially like in publishing,
Hmm. Yeah, yep.
right? That becomes you're no longer trying to impress like the hot girl, but that's your boss now, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so that was what I was talking about kind of at the beginning. Like there is that institutional aspect to it with these arts, but like Alan Moore is like the horniest man who's ever lived,
Oh,
still,
true.
like to this
Yep.
day. And so of course he would be like, "Oh, I don't think there's enough black people in that
That's
that
that
that."
is quite a good Aaron move there.
Yeah,
That's quite good.
all you have to do is a lot of always, oh,
I
like
I
everything's
was
oh,
writing a book.
I was writing when you're a writer. Um,
He's my
but
favorite British cryptid. He's the
yeah, yeah. I mean, he is the a person who, if you like, there was one time I was at like a restaurant or something, and I sat down with my family, and I did that thing where like I sat down, and then the table like across from us had like a burn victim there, and you go like,
Oof.
whoo, like for a second,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh, don't be mean,
Yep.
but it's just
Aye.
an involuntary like, whoo.
Yep. Yep.
That's Alan Moore. Like if you saw him in public, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Uh,
And
It's also
he looks like he smells terrible.
uh,
Like,
I think he only lives in like a 5 block radius or something.
yeah.
He's
He,
aye.
like, yeah.
Aye.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he,
yeah. Well, he's already on board with 15-minute cities then. That's part of it.
yeah, yeah. He's but
From
yeah,
what I
but
understand, the worst city too.
also like with with the toxic feminine, that's so interesting too, because a toxic femininity would be this kind of over nurturing, right?
Yeah.
Like over caring. But the toxic part of it would be that the nurturing and the caring are coming from a lack of self, right? A need to construct an identity around the caring.
Or
And
desire
that's
for control.
desire for control, right? And that's what comes off when we hear these goofy things like, "Oh, there weren't enough black people in Twin Peaks: The Return." It's like you're saying that for yourself, right?
Yeah,
So that
yep.
we look at you in a certain way. And
Yep.
there are guys like us, and some people don't have this. This is the other thing too. Some people don't have this next level of awareness that would immediately, I think it's much more common than we realize. Like guys like us are just not on the internet talking about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think that a lot of these people don't have, like a lot of creative people don't have any self-awareness at
Hmm.
all. Like
Hmm.
about what how they're saying sounds to normal people. They know what it sounds like to their tribe.
Aye.
Yeah.
But also it really doesn't, right? Because you say something like that, and I think, I mean, a lot of black people have to be like, bro, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
Like you get the
okay.
distinct impression that a lot of the people that like want to bring up race as a talking point, like have
Hmm.
never fucking lived in a black
Yep.
neighborhood.
Well,
Yep.
that's what I was gonna say. Is how many black people does Alan Moore know?
Right.
About
Well,
about as many years in Twin Peaks: The Return. Well,
and he's for like what, Northampton. He's probably met. I'm talking about like just a local to him. He's probably met like seven black people, and
mhm.
all of them will have stood across the road. He's probably not actually interacted with them. You know what I mean?
Right,
Uh,
right. Well, that's the thing too. It's like that again, the toxic feminine thing again is like kind of reducing everybody to their vulnerabilities, right? And seeing everybody through the lens of how they need to be cared for and be delicate, like, nurtured and all this kind of stuff. And then the
Yeah.
toxic masculine is the opposite, where it's like, shut up, pussy. Like, you can't
Mhm.
have feelings.
yeah.
We all know
Get
the
get
toxic
good.
masculine well. Get good. Yeah, that type of
The
shit.
Oh,
But,
the devouring mother, I think, is the
Yeah.
archetype.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
devouring mother.
It's
Ooh,
like
Yeah.
okay.
it's so protective that it prevents growth.
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
yeah,
That's it.
it doesn't want you.
Strangling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's thank you. That's exactly what I was like when I said that there was like a force that I could feel through this.
Mm.
It's the devouring mother.
Mm.
That
And
But
really
not
works
the
for me archetypally.
not the good devouring mother either. Not like when I see like when I think like Kali Ma, I'm like, no, you can eat me if you want to. Not that one. It's like
uh,
it's like the toxic the fallen version of it, right? The misappropriated
mm.
force.
hmm hmm
Well, at this point, you get into these really thorny areas here where it's like uh, birth rates gone down, abortion being seen as a kind of symbol of like female emancipation and like
hmm
political praxis and all that. So you're in this really weird space now where the sort of natural maternal impulse towards nurturing and caregiving is being directed towards marginalized identities because a lot of these people just aren't having kids, I think.
mm.
Not to be
Yeah.
reductive, but I
No,
think
I
there is a
like
bit
that.
of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you need to baby something
Hmm.
and you killed all your babies.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you
And
do now?
You got to baby the whole culture.
yep.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's interesting.
men have the kind of equal and opposite impulse, I think. Well, and I'm going to phrase it as offensively as possible. Obviously, I don't 100% mean this. Everybody will probably intuitively know what I do mean, but men have the impulse to colonize, essentially,
Yeah.
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Ev- um, obviously
And
knowing the colonial project sense, but aye, that's it.
no, no, that's that. Well, then that's the whole thing about the colonial project. It's like the idea that that's unique to any particular race. It's like no, it's just men,
No,
right?
true, true.
It's just it's
Yeah.
it's just what we do. It's what any other culture would have done if
Hmm.
they had if the stars were aligned and it was them instead of us. Like
Hmm.
we would just be living in opposite world, right? But
Hmm.
and I think that unfortunately what's happened is that people now there are people, and I didn't think people thought this for a while, and then I realized that they really do. That they just think white people are inherently evil, and I'm like,
Yep,
uh-oh,
Yeah.
the
yep,
horseshoe's gone all the way around now,
yep.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're like,
Yeah.
that is
Well,
something that a
Well,
colonizer would say.
that means that it's our chance to be like, what even is a white person? What do you mean by that? Because I'm
Yeah,
of this descent, and these are my ancestors. And what the fuck are you trying to say? You trying to lump me in with the Italians? What are
I've
you doing?
I've pulled that card before at work because I work with almost entirely black people, and I'm like, that I'm Polish, right? Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've we just farmed chickens and got occupied over and over and over again. And then the other side of me, this is a funny story, dude. So my last name is Osborne, and I was like, I looked it up, and it's like, oh, it's a Norse Viking name, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's badass. The bear god. Let's go. Let's find out more. And so I looked it up. I'm like, does this mean that I have like Viking ancestors? And the computer was like, hang on a second, buddy. No, they're like 90% of people who have like not even 90, like 99% of people who have this name are the peasants who lived in the north of
Yeah,
England who
yeah,
got colonized by
yeah.
the Vikings over and over again. And I was like, well, fuck, that's less cool, I guess. But
Uh,
whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I pulled that card at work, and they were all like, "Boo, shut the fuck up," because like people aren't, and it's totally fine. I mean, people aren't ready for that story yet, I think.
there's that aspect, and then there's also like, so all of this is a lens through America, and like
hmm
white and black is like those are American thoughts,
yeah, true,
like
true.
thought forms that are applied to everything. Because if you go to Africa, they
Oh,
may all
yep.
have black skin, but there are people that fucking hate each other
Hmm.
and are
Yep,
hmm
trying to
yep.
exterminate one another. And it has nothing to do with their fucking skin color whatsoever.
Right. Right.
Um, it's it's so I there if you if it's funny if you look at this from like new age manifestation, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
the complaints are like we got to get rid of white nationalism, we got to get rid of homophobia, and it's like that wasn't there, but you're making it happen
Ah,
because you're
yep,
not
yep.
giving anybody any other fucking choice.
The way
Hmm.
Like you're just
Hmm.
backing everybody into a corner until the what like I, this is what you want, I think.
Mhm.
Well,
But
it's also like you keep something alive by conjuring it, and that means by mentioning it and putting it in people's
Mhm.
heads over and over again. It's like I would have completely forgotten all of this stuff. Like
yeah.
I don't see things in terms of race. I see things in terms of culture because it affects
Mhm.
thinking.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
But like
Hmm.
American culture is American culture, and then within that you have these other groups, and they're never strictly divided by race, like ever.
Mm.
Hmm.
It's
Look at Kelby Losack.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Exactly. And yeah, people who want to put everything in boxes do not know what the fuck to make of him. And
Mhm. When
Hmm.
when me and Rev were talking about your kind of Substack fucking thing, David,
Mm.
Kelby also came up, and we were just the idea that Kelby's been branded fucking he's been unpersoned time
Mm.
and time again for the crime of being a wiggle in the 2020s. You know what I mean? Like it's just nuts, dude.
Right,
and that's
right.
literally only based on like his geography and economic bracket.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's
what the fuck?
crazy classist.
So you're
It's genuinely
classist
classist. Yep.
and weirdly racist.
Yeah,
Well,
it's weird. I've always thought it's weirdly racist because the hate for the Wigger is based on the idea that black culture is low culture,
Oh,
but
mm,
it's okay when they do it because the implicit thing is that they're like children. And
yeah.
so it's fine when they do it, but you're an upstanding white man. Why
Aye.
would you talk that
mm.
way or act that way?
You should
It's
be
like,
better than that because you're white. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And so it's like people do this all the time where they don't realize how racist they actually are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Uh,
like, God,
oh no, I was gonna. It's totally stupid. Is uh, is Kelby actually an envoy for Wigartha?
yes. He is.
Like
He's
Okay, so
yeah.
he's our Atlantean savior that we
He
may not.
he is. But that I think that's also like that's the unpersoning and thing like I think that's also the appeal of Kelby, right? And I think that's what draws people to him is that he's just unapologetic about it. Like
if
Yeah.
he's
Mhm.
never once in 200 almost 300 episodes of Agitator attempted to really like defend or explain it. He's just always
Mhm.
been like, I don't give a fuck.
Mhm.
And I and that's really, really refreshing to people like me who feel the need felt past
Yeah.
tense, the need to explain everything and qualify myself. Like he really changed my life being friends with him. And that's the best thing I think you can say about having a friend is that they changed who
Mm,
you were. Like I'm where I'm at mentally and like confidence wise, partially just from osmosis, from
Mhm.
hanging out with him
mm.
for hours at a time. And I'm sure I brought some things to the table. I don't know. I don't know. Writing wise, I mean, like there's stuff there, right? Because he's also the best kind of friend who thinks that everything I say is smart. And I'm like, okay,
Mm.
cool. Yep, we can definitely be friends.
Uh,
But yeah, no, that I think that's we can tie that too also to the Martin Shaw book or the Paul Kingsnorth books, like the polemic or just the confidence with which they're writing what they write. There's
mm,
something to that as well of just pushing the idea of cringe or how it's like don't do the spirit of the staircase thing with your art where you're
mm,
thinking about the
Yeah.
reactions and then your reactions to the reactions
Yeah.
and just kind of do the thing because you do get this kind of thing from Martin Shaw where if you were to tell Martin Shaw I don't like your book, I can't imagine he'd do anything but laugh.
Mhm.
Just
mhm.
be like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. And that comes through in prose as well. I mean, you get that even with the Dan Browns of the world. Like, is it the simplicity of the prose that people are attracted to? Sure. But it's also just the authority of, and whether that authority is won through intellect or lack thereof,
Mhm.
it's compelling to read that shit. of just like, damn, he was in his bag in this one and he was just fucking
Mm.
saying the thing. Like, I wonder sometimes why I bounced off of like I loved Altered Carbon, but I bounced off of Broken Furies. Um, or is that the whatever the second book is, right?
Mm.
Mm.
And it felt like I don't know, I brought this up just because I saw it on my bookshelf. But and I think it's because Altered Carbon is just like this book where that's so confident and he has like this thing that needs to be and like sequels in their way are always responses to something. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm.
Like
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
it's
Absolutely.
it's it's like the next level of dialogue about that book. So in Broken Furies, I think that's the second book, when he's doing this like Indiana Jones in space thing, the concept is cool, but it feels like it's a reaction to the first book, right? Doing something that wildly different feels like a conversation that takes you out of the authority of the voice. And so I don't really know how you reverse engineer that and just but other than just being confident and
Hmm.
not care.
Actually, this I want to ask this very like almost basic bitch question to you. Which what do you think makes bad prose?
Um, That's a good question. So it's going to be different for everybody. So what 90% of people are talking about when they say bad prose is a lack of clarity, right?
Mm.
Mm.
Having to reread something, anything that is a stumbling block to the flow of language can be considered bad. Now, if you take it to the next step to where somebody like a more pretentious person like me would say that it's bad prose, all of that, all of the above is true. But if it's clunky, if it's lacking in any kind of rhythm, and what is that rhythm exactly? It's one of those things you just kind of know it when you hear it, basically. And so, for example, like bad, I would consider it's two different worlds, right? It's what mo 90% of people think, and then it's what the dorks think.
Mm.
And the eternal struggle of my current writing is leaning more towards what the normies think and less towards this more niche thing that is not going to communicate what I'm trying to communicate to enough people to make what I'm doing, sustainable.
Mm.
Um, but like bad prose in fiction terms, if it's not moving a conflict forward, it should probably be cut. Um, and you can think about prose again, not from the sentence level, but from chunks, right? A chunk could be a
Mm.
paragraph, it could be two. Deborah Chester, who wrote the fantasy fiction formula, talks about scenes and sequels. And the rhythm of a book should be a thing happening that complicates what the protagonist is trying to do, followed by the sequel, which in this case, sequel means the protagonist's reaction to what just happened, reaction and deciding what to do about it.
Mm.
And so you get into this kind of flow when you read Stephen King or Dan Brown or any of these kind of books where you realize that's exactly what's happening. Like you're being given something that happens that complicates the situation, and then you're being given a kind of interiority to a character analyzing what happened. Decision is made. That decision is almost always wrong, makes things worse. The next
Mm.
bad thing happens, and so on and so forth. So it's this kind of tumbling process of, of highs and lows. There's also a really great graph in the bestseller code that shows that there are two books that have kind of perfectly hit like there's a median that like the x-axis is this median for where like everything's just kind of perfectly okay, right? Imagine that. And the best books make this sine wave along that graph going down below and then coming back up
Mm.
and
Hmm.
it's just like perfect momentum for a reader and two books fit that perfectly. The first one is the Da Vinci Code and the second one is 50 Shades of Grey. Like they
Mm.
both like they used
Mm.
a computer to map these books out and their like high and low points, right?
Mm.
So, simple question, complicated answer. If you're looking at it from David from 20 years ago, bad prose is prose that lacks any kind of poetic meter to it,
Mm.
right? Stilted prose, inert prose, prose that is actually meant to disappear, which is something I didn't realize back then, not call attention to itself. That would
Mm.
have been considered bad. Now I'm beginning to think more the opposite, right? That as soon as something, I wrote an essay on the Serpent Logic Substack about this using an essay by Samuel Delany as an example. And so Delany really broke this down in a granular kind of way where he was talking about uh, the opening sentence, and I think it's from Dune. Uh, the the red sun was high in the sky, the blue sun low, right?
Mm.
And he what he basically said is, and this is all happening fast, like faster than the speed of light, right? But when you read that, he basically said that a 60,000 word novel is one image modified 59,999,999 times, right? And so he talks about when you read that first word, in his mind, it's kind of like this gray ellipsis, right?
Mhm.
And then it's kind of this amorphous form. And then you read the word red, and that gray blob turns red, and then all the associations that come with red, heat, passion, maybe, right? And then sun. Okay, now we have an image, and we're seeing this sun in our heads, high in the sky, yada yada yada. And then the blue sun low. So now you have this full, and as you're reading this picture, it's like chiseling and chiseling and chiseling away at it. And so what he talks about, and he doesn't say it exactly like this, but it's just kind of what I came up with. It's like your job as a writer is to lighten the like it's the subjunctive load, basically,
Hmm.
right? And so
Yeah.
subjunctivity is just how much effort has to be put in to seeing that picture in your mind and kind of going with you. And so the way those two things can combine, right, is you can actually do like what Martin Shaw does and have poetry in your voice if you're very specific about the subjunctive load. He's never asking you to make too many leaps. He is kind of asking you to get into a lighter, more maybe a little bit more athletic frame of mind than you would be at a Dan Brown book. But the clearest, cleanest prose can still become boring, right?
Mm.
And the most beautiful poetic prose can make that subjunctive load way too high, where you're constantly seeing the writer in that prose.
Mhm.
Long, complicated answer. Basically, so I'll just leave it there. A lot of thoughts. A lot
Mm.
of thoughts.
Also, that was a good essay, the one you're referring to on your Substack. I enjoyed that a lot.
Thank you.
It made me want to read the Delaney essay that you mentioned.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm. Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
linked in there.
I
It's a PDF. It's really worth reading. Just because Delaney was speaking very specifically about a problem, a very 1960s problem, which was is science fiction actual literature? This was apparently just a constant debate.
mm,
Like our version of it now is like, is AI good? And everybody's got their opinion on it. But yeah, no. So I think that when I sit down to write now, well, you might think this is interesting. I don't know. I'm really trying to train myself to dictate all of my books because I
interesting.
discovered that I don't actually like typing that much. And
Mm.
it was becoming a barrier to telling stories.
Huh.
And I was listening to Kevin J. Anderson, who I think if you're our age, you've read at least one Kevin J. Anderson book, whether it was X-Files or Star
Mm,
Wars or
yep,
whatever.
yep.
And he's written 190 books and he's dictated most of them. And back in the
Mm.
day, he would dictate into a tape recorder and pay somebody to transcribe it. And now, of course, there's software that you can do. But he goes out on hikes and speaks his novels into his phone. And that's how
Mm.
he makes them. And I'm just liberal enough with that to still consider that writing the same way I still consider listening to audiobooks reading.
Yeah.
Mm,
And so I want to get my voice closer to my spoken, like how you would tell a story to somebody who's sitting across from you rather than this audience that you're
Mm.
expecting a lot out of. I think the way I used to write books is I used to paint pictures and hope that people had the the desire to put the pictures together and make sense of them.
mm.
And now I want to actually just tell you a story because that's fun. It's more
I
Mm.
feel
fun.
like from I feel like that's very apparent. Like if you go read By the Time and then read Berserker Club. Like if you read those back to back, I think there is this level in By the Time of like the thick prose and the like
Mhm.
artistic heavy side of things. which for me, as kind of an idiot, it does it makes it harder to get into the flow and to just
Hmm.
like relax into it because there's this like juggling and trying to make sure you grasped it. It takes longer. Like you have to
Hmm.
sit with something like that longer. And I guess that just depends on like what you want. But like Berserker Club, I feel like you have done an excellent job with making it both like your own and the prose is punchy and it hits in the right places.
Thank
And
you.
you tone shift a lot in there, which is great. Like I
Oh
felt
yeah.
like I was like in a Japanese movie, the way that you would go from it's fun to suddenly like these people feel too fucking real. Like
Hmm.
like it is almost gross. But like
Hmm.
you I don't know. I really like I think I see what you're saying there and I think you're doing a good job is what I'm saying because it shows. It shows because
Thank you, man.
that book was a breeze to read, but it
Hmm.
also it had a lot of like very obviously there was a lot of care into the prose.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's super intentional. So that's great to hear that is what came across because even in God's Fear No Better, like there's still a little bit of that picture painting and putting things together, which like I love that book. So, it's not a downer for it or whatever. But like in this one, I really wanted to you spend a surprising amount of time again on the chunks, right? Not going back and rereading a sentence, but rereading a page and being
Mhm.
like, okay, is this working as like a unit that moves all these things forward? And it'll always be like, no matter how normy the prose gets, it'll always be one of my books because a penis will come to life or something like that. And then be like, oh, there's JDO.
Mm.
But I do think that again, it's a young man's, even if you're old, it's a young man's mistake to think that this voice has to be representative of you as a person, especially if you're sacrificing like good storytelling out of that. Like I want people to get to the end of the book. Like
Mm.
and I see it as like a noble thing to like if I can distract you for how 3 hours or whatever it takes to read Berserker Club, like that's 3 hours that you didn't scroll and
Mm.
that you maybe didn't think about like all the bullshit that's going on or your bills or whatever. There's a real like nobility to being a novelist that I think has gotten like pushed into like the camp of you're a hack or you're
Hmm. Yeah.
or you're a serious writer or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, really all it is I mean, we're in the information or not information age, the attention age rather. And yeah, the goal is to like, let's have fun. And also maybe there's some fun, interesting ideas in there too. And there's also a demon that's covered in semen, which, you know,
See,
uh,
Like you
one
do.
of the things I appreciate most about what you guys do at Broken River, I read all you guys, I think all you guys are great, but there's this like so it's pulp. You're writing pulp, and it has that
mhm.
kind of purring, finely tuned, thrumming pulp engine beneath it. But you guys, you are right. You're like proper sentence level, really kind of exacting, caring about the words. Writers, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
easy for a lot of. I mean, I don't like snobbishness. I also don't like the sort of counter snobbishness either.
Mm-hmm.
That goes on. I think you guys you're all pretty different writers. You write different books, but the thing that sort of threads you all together, I think, is other than just being mates or whatever, is like
Mhm.
I like well for one thing the sort of idea that you turn a page at any one of your guys' books and you don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen on that page, and that's invaluable, I think.
Mm.
Um, because even
Hmm.
pulp itself. And you guys will know if you read, especially sort of contemporary pulp, uh, it's beholden to its own formulas, its own expectations in terms of genre and stuff. So it's just great that all you guys are able to find these sort of unique angles to attack such a well-worn form, And I actually thought,
Hmm.
um, God's Fair No Better is probably my favorite book of yours, and so
Thanks.
I don't want to disagree with the author here, right? But I
Mhm.
actually thought the voice in that book struck me as almost conversational at points.
Mm,
It
mm,
almost felt like an oral story,
mm.
which is one of the
That
reasons I liked it.
that's good to hear. And I'm probably like I have goldfish memory too. So it's one of like once you start a new project, you just forget about the
Mm.
last one. You're like, okay, now I'm in this one and I'm with these dudes now. But like, no, it's really cool to hear. And now that you mention, I think you're right, actually. I'll agree. It is good. Um, but no, it's really cool to hear you say all that, man. And it's I think it just comes from our personality and also coming from a time where, yeah, like transgression and subversion was like the name of the game. Like just coming up on, 90s comic books, like when Vertigo was really doing the damn thing. And it felt like everything that came out was this fresh new take on these mythologies. Like that gets into your bones, right? And then
Mhm.
I think that maybe everything I said, it is important to go through that phase of your life where you do care only about the sentence,
Mm,
because then it can just run on autopilot in the background, right?
mm,
I say this with all attendant modesty, but like I could just write a sentence right now and you'd be like, damn, that's good. Like
mm,
I don't have to think about that. What I have to think about is this flowing, right? But
mm.
no, it's really cool to hear. And yeah, the guys are all and Rios, she's doing her thing. She's got her new book coming out too. But it's difficult to market. Because
Mm,
like how do you get that across to people? It's like this is a thing, but it's a different
mm,
thing.
mm,
It almost seems like that's what the world is missing now is like non-contrived oral storytelling.
Mm,
And like in not in a conversational podcast form, but like just some old dude recounting a story he's heard 1,000 times. Like it's gone from it's basically
mm,
gone. Um, but there are so many ancestors who have who are like out there in the spirit world with like inspiration who and voices to share who like were those people for real.
mm,
And
mm,
I kind of feel like that's potentially something to lean into there. I think all of you guys kind of do that in a way. It's like because it's break like Joe says it's breaking some sort of convention, and that's I mean why you're doing your own thing in the first place. Like it just by nature, it's like people trying to innovate, maybe more than 5% sometimes uh
right.
end up clustering together. It's almost like a aside from the camaraderie, it's also a life raft where it's
Mm, mhm.
like one person can read one of your books and then be like, oh, they're connected to all these other people. I'll probably like that shit too if there's a similar philosophy there.
Right, right. Yeah, and I like this whole thing about the ancestors because that's what it feels like, you know? Every writer knows this. Like when you're deep in the woods of writing something and they talk about, oh, there's this thing that's like channeling through me now.
Mhm.
Like it's not
Yeah.
me anymore.
Flow state.
Flow state. Yeah. That's what it is, basically. Yeah, it's the ancestors trying to speak through it. And you've just inspired me, man. Like I think this new Martin Shaw book, hearing what Joe was saying and hearing what you were saying, I'm like, I've been a little stuck with my books over the past like week or so, and this just was a really good recalibration of it, like of like finding that flow again. It's like, oh yeah, bring back oral storytelling, but write it down.
mm,
Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the because I do remember now when I was writing God's Fear No Better, I told Kelby or somebody like that. I was like, I want to be on the page, right? I don't want to disappear. Like I
Mhm.
mm,
want you to know that it's me telling you this thing.
Mhm.
mm,
And that means that every once in a while the sentence will be like, and then some shit happened, and then now we're over here. Like those exact words, because that's makes you feel like somebody's talking to you.
Hmm.
But um, but yeah, I think that's good. I think I better hit the road here, fellas.
Yeah, I think that was I
mm.
was just gonna say that's a good
Yeah.
place, and we've been on here for a long time. But
Yep.
yeah, thanks for coming. This is great.
Aye, that
Yep.
was great. Have a good
And
day.
have a good day as well. Yeah, we had no idea what we were going to talk about before we pressed record. And
Aren't you impressed?
I
Aren't you
was
impressed,
like,
listeners?
we are all yappers, so there's no problem. All right,
The
fellas.
Well,
Thank you
best.
very much for having me. I
See you
appreciate
later,
yeah.
it.
mate.
See ya.
Later.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.